Hello, everyone, and welcome to our GOP Debate watch party. I am your host, Andrea Bridges-Smith, and with me is Austin Dodson.
That's me.
Austin, I am so glad that you are here. Thank you for being with me.
Happy to be here. This is going to be exciting and horrific.
Yeah, both at the same time. So let's talk about what to expect tonight. So we are going to hang out for about half an hour before the debate starts. We're going to make some predictions. We're going to look in our little crystal ball with you guys. We're going to chat with you guys. So please chime in and say hi. I see some people who are already here.
Susie
Hello,
Q.
Nicole. Hello, Susie. It's good to have you guys here. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to we're going to watch the whole debate. We're going to be having it live streaming here. So you can check that out. And then we're going to do a quick recap of some of the key moments afterwards. We're going to talk about the winners and the losers. So we're going to be here for the next 3 hours. But we did not want you to watch this debate alone.
No one should have to. It's morally wrong for us to let you suffer alone.
We
but
couldn't
tempting.
do it. Yeah. So first things first, if you have not done so yet, grab yourself a drink because you do not want to do this sober. Am I right?
Absolutely. There's no point in sobriety for American politics. There's no room left.
No room. We got beverages handy. Cheers, Austin.
L'chaim.
If you have not gotten yours yet, then please go do that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tasty. Nicole says, this seems like a much less stressful way to watch the debate instead of just watching by myself and being filled with anxiety. Nicole, you nailed it. That is why we are here, darling. We are here to help you through this. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to be your debate Sherpa, and you're not going to be alone. So before we dive in, I do want to propose a little debate drinking game. You up for that?
Sassy.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Okay, what do
Since
you
we
got?
got the beverages out.
Mm-hmm.
So every time all the candidates all yell at each other at the same time and then the moderators try to get them to stop, take a drink.
Sweet Jesus, we'll die. But then we don't have to watch the whole thing, so it's a win-win, really.
Well, I was actually saying to take a drink of water. So you guys got to stay hydrated through this thing. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, okay? You got to have 2 beverages. You got to have the alcoholic beverage and the water. Make sure you have both, okay?
For those of you in Australia joining us, that translates to water and water.
The Aussies really know how to throw them back. God bless them.
I think it's the kangaroos. It's just weird and you have to drink about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. The giant spiders, I mean, I'd be drunk all the time if I lived in a place with spiders that large.
Yeah.
Don't tell me about any large spiders around here. Okay, so I want to set some expectations. I'm going to be real honest with you guys. We have not been live streaming for very long. We're still learning some things. Mm-hmm. So if something goes wrong, apologies in advance. We're almost certainly going to hit a wrong button at some point. So, just bear with us. We're trying. That's all we can do.
The important thing here is that we're making an effort, and we're doing it not just for ourselves, but for ourselves.
Yes.
Oh, no, we're doing it for ourselves. You guys are here too, but,
Yeah, we do want good things to happen for you guys, but we are also having a hell of a lot of fun doing this, if I'm being honest. So, Austin, we have about 5 candidates on the stage tonight, and I want to go through them all. But before we do that, is there anything else that we need to cover?
If you at home have installed anti-porn spyware to monitor yourself and your children's jerkin of it.
Sure.
Now would be a great time to either turn that off or dial it down. This will be wildly pornographic. We're talking all recipes on a Saturday night.
Woo!
It's going to be dirty.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun.
Yeah. We have a savory muffin recipe that is going to rock your world.
Disgustingly so. Can't wait.
Okay, let's get to these 5 candidates who are on the stage. Let's actually talk about the debate for a minute. How about that?
Gross, but all right. Yeah,
All right.
I mean, if we gotta.
It's kind of why we're here. It seems like we should.
Okay.
So let's start with the person who is least likely to win the nomination. That is one Chris Christie. A lot of Chris's in that name. Chris Christie says that his plan tonight is he is not going to bother attacking Ron DeSantis because he just doesn't think he's worth it. Like, wow.
I mean, I hear him say that, and I think he has a solid point because whatever the preface to that sentence is, DeSantis is not worth it. But in his defense, however you want to say that, DeSantis has weirdly, mysteriously gained a height advantage in the last couple weeks, and that is going to be difficult for him to overcome. But I'm proud of him for at least bowing out of it or leaning into it. I don't even know.
Who knows at this point? I think mainly Chris Christie is here just to land pot shots at Trump, and I don't hate that.
I mean, it's an honorable endeavor in anybody's life. I'm proud of him.
We spend a lot of time doing that.
He's really turned a corner morally.
So Chris Christie, he's an infrastructure guy, right?
Oh yeah, he loves bridges not bridging, or bridging but not transporting. He hates the bridges. And he has promised, if he's elected, and he weirdly believes he might be, that he will end infrastructure in this country. To quote from his website, "Those sumbitch bridges know what they done, and they know what's coming."
He's declared war on infrastructure. Not a fan of infrastructure week.
Not even a little bit, no.
All right, let's go to Tim Scott, whose campaign is running on fumes. That campaign could be completely DOA by the end of the night. In order to have any chance of succeeding at all, Tim Scott needs to say something, anything that is notable. Basically, he needs to have the best debate performance in human history if he wants to save his campaign. So he is going to spend the night going after Nikki Haley, which I think a lot of people are going to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good strategy for him. On a bunch of media recently, he has criticized Haley as not being popular enough to win, which I thought was a great method of attack, but Haley, being a very seasoned public speaker, did fire back that Tim is a virgin who can't drive. Although neither of them has yet to secure a date for the prom, so we'll see how that works out.
Yes. They both have a little bit of work to do. Okay, let's talk about noted firecracker Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, so he, in the first debate, he had a very big personality. He was very loud, and everybody ended up going after him. Second debate, he was nice. He was almost demure. He did this kind of like Jekyll and Hyde thing. So what's he going to do tonight? Basically, his campaign person said that he was going to come out, quote unquote, unconstrained. So I think he's going to be extra annoying. Look for Vivek Ramaswamy to do something really drastic and bold, possibly setting his podium on fire.
Well, that would be a good step for him. I think that's a fantastic way to go about it. I mean, he is known for his big, boisterous personality.
Yes.
He espouses huge, scripted, prefab comments over and over again. Fun fact, I read that his favorite movie was Blood on the Highway from those driver's ed videos. And I think he's dedicated a lot of himself to that zeitgeist, and he loves it. Also, I just used the word zeitgeist, probably correctly.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Everybody should take a drink every time we say zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist! Australia.
Yeah, Aussies are in the house. They're ready to drink. Aussie Aquatic, one of my favorite channels. You guys got to check this channel out. It's so soothing just to watch these little fish in the tanks swim around. Oh, go subscribe to that. It's a little treat for your brain.
Are they giant horror fish like everything else?
No, they're just cute little baby fish.
Oh, nice. They have
not
those
like
too.
The characters at this debate. So let's get into the two front runners. Let's start with Ron DeSantis. Ronnie Baby needs to take Donald's advice and be likable. He needs to arrange his face into something resembling a human facial expression. I think that would be a really good start for him at the beginning of the evening, because I think the last time he did the debate, after he introduced himself, he's like, "And I'm Ron DeSantis." and it was like, what is your mouth doing? Oh God, it was a lot. So he needs to work on that, but also he needs to cut Nikki Haley down at the knees. But all anybody can talk about are his feet for the past couple weeks.
So pointy, so lovely. I mean, actually, we all love the photos we've seen, but Nikki Haley, I've heard, I have sources on the inside, and that is not a completely fabricated lie, that her people have, at the event space here, taken up all of the parking spots next to the level sidewalks, so that he has to park near a slanted bit and then try and, like a newborn gazelle, meander up these things, and her folks are ready with video to record him stumbling wildly about, and honestly, I'm here for both of them on it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty great, honestly. So let's talk about the big kahuna, the odds-on favorite to win this debate, and the only lady person on the stage, Miss Nikki Haley, ladies and gentlemen. So we saw this poll come out earlier this week. Theoretical Biden-Trump matchup did not go Biden's way in swing states. Everybody was panicking about that. But they redid that poll with Biden DeSantis and Biden Haley. And DeSantis has a slight advantage over Biden in those swing states, but Nikki Haley wins by 5 to 14% in those swing states.
Wow.
So if she somehow manages to become the nominee, Biden's in trouble.
It's true. I mean, she has a lot of things a lot of conservative voters are looking for.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of the extras that a lot of your left-leaning voters would love to see in the White House.
Yeah.
Look, I hate how much sometimes she says things that I agree with. It hurts me
it's so
physically,
unpleasant.
like here and where I keep my soul in particular.
Really unpleasant.
But I am, and I bet we're going to see this tonight, she's probably going to say a lot of good stuff that I like, but take heart, folks. Whatever Nikki Haley says out there tonight that you're like, damn, that's true, she ain't gonna do it. No, she's gonna get elected and then do whatever the hell the people paying her wanted her to do. She is still on the Republican ticket, and that is the baseline.
Yeah, she's very reliable in that respect. Now, tonight, she needs to come out swinging. She had a great performance in the first debate, an okay performance in the second debate. She didn't screw it up, but she definitely did better in the first debate. She needs to come out tonight, and she needs to not just beat Ron DeSantis, she needs to finish him like Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. She needs to, show him his beating heart. She needs to rip out his spine and hold it up and let it drip the blood in front of him. While he watches that. That is how she emerges from this thing victorious and whittles it down to just her versus Trump. So the good news for her is that they are going to be talking about foreign policy a lot tonight, which is her strongest area. She was an ambassador, so she does know where certain countries are, which is more than we can say for some other candidates. Donald Trump.
I'm sorry, you coughed a bit when you said Donald Trump there.
Yeah.
Probably need to drink a bit more.
I'm just going to have a little bit of a beverage there.
Yeah.
That is what she needs to do to Ron DeSantis. And Austin, I understand that she has some interesting footwear afoot.
Well, she does. She's taken a page tonight out of Donald Trump and his family's playbook and has invited to watch the debates right up in the front row. She reserved a seat for them. Ron DeSantis's white disco mud boots that he wore famously earlier in the year. An intimidation tactic, perhaps.
Yeah, those are a hot piece of footwear. I don't think, can pull that look off.
I'm glad he switched to the high heels because Ronnie Girl's calves are bomb AF, and there's just no getting around that. Politics aside, damn girl.
Yeah, the thing that you want in a strong leader is strong muscular calves, and that is the one thing that he's bringing to the table along with just a complete inability to make a human facial expression. So, so let's go to the chat here for a minute. I want to hear. We're going to take a poll now, and we'll see who's right at the end of it. I want to see, who do you think is going to win this debate? Who do you think has the best chance of losing to Donald Trump in the primary? So let's go to the chat here for a minute. Aussie Aquatic is sending thoughts and prayers. Thank you. We are just about to run out, and we could always use a few more.
I'm going to put those right next to my collection of guns, ammo, and my phone book and highlighter.
Yes, that is the thoughts and prayers Lunchable pack right there, basically. Susie Q says that Austin is looking smoking. You should see him in some of those white disco boots.
I do not have the caps for it. I mean, I got the hips for it, and I rock that, but...
No, we're giving ourselves self-love today, okay?
Up high.
Yeah. You can rock those boots. Let's see. Aussie Aquatic says, let us all mourn that Mike Pence won't be lighting up the stage. Oh, we miss Mike Pence. We miss him. He was so, how do I put this?
Bland, white bread, beige.
Those are in the ecru.
Ooh, that's lovely.
Ecru.
The most interesting thing about him was a fly that once landed on his head.
Yes, and the time that people tried to hang him, that was also kind of sassy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be missing him. Susie says, kisses to Nico. I don't think she's in the room at the moment.
She was earlier.
She was. She might be here somewhere.
She'll be back.
Apologies in advance if my cat's butthole ends up 2 inches away from the camera.
You're welcome in advance if the cat's butthole ends up.
Very possible.
Quality.
Super F-Bomb says, I've never heard about a woman getting Donald Trump. Nice.
I'm
Susie,
glad I haven't, too, because
yes.
I didn't need that news update.
Yes, I think Mike Johnson's software might flag us on that one. Susie Q says she likes the shirt. Thank you. This is the shirt that I like to wear on Election Day because, yes, it is the opposite of Trump, and these are the types of people that I like to vote for. So, yes, Nicole, why do all the options fill me with such dread? That is a natural human response to this entire thing. We are absolutely also filled with the dread.
You can offset that by a reasonable amount of alcohol or totally water, as some people call it. And, if you have access, crack cocaine. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying it's a better alternative than being fully aware of the news in this country right now.
Yes. We don't encourage anyone to do drugs. Kids, stay in school. Also, don't watch this.
Oh, God,
It's very much not for you.
Plus, your dad's getting all sorts of pings about your porn monitor right now.
Right.
You dirty boy.
I think we're just saying that if you did drugs, we'd get it.
Yeah, it makes sense right about now.
Yeah. We're not on drugs, but we're definitely gonna have some beverages. Let's see. Aussie Aquatic says it has to be Nikki Haley wearing a hired normal suit. You know what? That's who my money is on. I feel like Nikki Haley is going to wipe the floor with everybody. Now, she does have a tough night ahead because everybody is going to be kind of pointed in her direction because she's the one to beat. So you'll remember at the first debate, Ron DeSantis was the one to beat, and everybody kind of went after him.
Yeah.
And he didn't really do a great job of defending himself.
Oh, right.
And then Ramaswamy was so loud and boisterous that at the second debate, there was this kind of like neutralize that one. And so everybody kind of went after him. And, that worked, I think.
Well, she's going to have to be on the lookout from annoyingly reasonable counterpoints from Chris Christie tonight, who is actually pretty good on a debate stage.
Yeah.
And Ramaswamy, who is actually pretty loud and consistently without breaks or needing to breathe often or blink.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him blink.
No, he
I've
doesn't
been
do
looking.
that. Yeah, he does not do that.
Yeah.
Super F-Bomb says, Haley is the toughest for Biden to beat. She will probably win the debate, if you can call it that. That's kind of what we're thinking.
Win is going to be a funny word for this whole weird process.
Yeah. Does anybody win? It's a great question.
No.
Wayne, hello, Wayne. We are glad to have you here. Great question. What do you think of last night? Okay, Wayne, you are bringing up an excellent point here. Okay, so one thing we have not talked about yet, and we are going to talk about this a little bit more in just a minute, is how did the election yesterday change things up for today? And so what's interesting about that is the candidates so far, they have not, except for Chris Christie, gone real full bore on attacking Donald Trump, which is strange since they are running against him.
Yeah, that's a very, very weird thing. But hey, it's weird times. When we skipped to the worst possible timeline in 2016, should be off the rails, folks.
Should be nowhere near the rails. The rails are in a different zip code. So one thing that the candidates have started doing today is they are calling out Donald Trump and blaming this mini blue wave that happened yesterday on him. They're trying to lay that at his feet. So I think we're going to see some more of that going on tonight. I don't think any of them really wants to be his VP at this point, so it kind of makes sense for them to just, go after him and come at him like a honey badger, basically.
And they won't.
Nope.
They should. They really should, because the same job they're applying for.
Right.
But what they are, except for Chris Christie, going to do is pucker right the hell up and hint that maybe all of the problems are because of Trump. But wouldn't it be great if you elected somebody who was simply Trump adjacent? That would be nice.
That's the answer that I think a lot of these candidates are going to be proposing. So before we get into some other notable things about this debate, who's there, who's not there, what can we expect, I just want to remind everyone that if you are a fan of what we are doing, there are 3 ways you can support us. Excuse me. And now I'm going to say them since I cleared my throat. First is you can make a one-time or recurring donation at Ko-Fi. Second, you can join our Patreon. And third is by buying some merch at the Phoenix News Store. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on new events and episodes, along with pictures of my cats, including Nico, who might be here somewhere, and Thilo, who is hiding upstairs because Austin's here. All of those links are in the description below, so if you can give us a little donation, we really appreciate it. So other things to expect tonight, we talked about Vivek Ramaswamy yelling loudly. He has woken up. He has chosen chaos. He's going to try to get the grown-ups to pay attention to him. So he might be kind of sucking up some of the energy out of the room. Now, there are some people who are not here tonight that we should talk about.
Oh, let's.
The big one, of course, is Donald Trump, who is having his own little party somewhere else.
That is how he likes to be referred to often, but for different reasons than he thinks.
Yeah. So the good news is that the podiums should remain free of ketchup stains for the duration of this event. We're very excited about that.
I heard a rumor that Donald Trump might be in attendance tonight. I don't think he's going to be on the stage, but he might be in attendance.
Okay.
If, and it's a pretty big if he can get his house elf to procure for him the cloak of invisibility. Yeah, but the smart money says not to expectro ex potus.
Okay. Yes, honestly, I think it would be better. That was a terrific Harry Potter joke.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
High five. We are, of course, going to miss Doug Flurgum and his eyebrows and his insistence on saying China every 2 seconds.
China.
Thank you. I was starting to really miss that.
China.
One more?
Flurgum. China.
There it is. All right. Also, presidential candidate Joe Exotic.
He has a good shot if he would just excuse himself from federal prison for long enough to show up to a debate.
Yeah, I feel like that could really make a difference for him. Then there's, who is going to be in the audience? Who's going to be backstage? Are we going to see some surprise people coming out?
Well, we might find out afterwards. At the end of this one, there is going to be a reunion show, and we're going to see all the past candidates who were voted off in the last couple episodes. I, for one, cannot wait to find out who kissed who.
That's right. I heard they got Andy Cohen on tap for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, just look forward to stories of Doug Flurgum and Asa Hutchinson making out behind some bunting.
And, I do half expect to see Rudy Giuliani pedal out on a little tricycle, just ask these guys if they want to play a game. Because that's thematically like what we are doing.
Yeah. Terrifying thought. Okay, we are about 4 minutes out. Couple people that we want to shout out, and that's the workers, the people that work on these debates.
These are people, honest hard workers doing highly skilled jobs, getting paychecks.
Yep.
And having these debates gives these people the jobs they need. Many of them union and definitely voting for Biden.
Yeah.
And it's great they do this so the American people, they can stay better informed about all of these candidates who have absolutely no chance whatsoever of being on the ballot next year.
Not even a little bit. Not even
America.
A little bit. Thank you, people who do all of the behind the scenes for the debate. We also want to take a moment to thank the debate sponsor, Captain Trump's cereal. Captain Trump wants to remind all of you kiddies, I'm the captain now. We had to do a little Trump impression at some point.
It was very good. I can't do it, so
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you can.
All right, 3 minutes to go until this debate starts. So let's take one last look at the chat. We're going to get things queued up here. I'm going to get this going. Okay, it looks like people are on the stage. We're going to be streaming this from NBC News's YouTube channel. So we'll pipe in from time to time if anything spicy happens. Let's see.
I have never more in my life felt like I wished I was a small gumball machine from outer space.
I am not 100% sure what you mean by that, but
okay. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, cool. We got a couple people in the chat. We're very excited to suddenly visit Ohio for no particular reason at all.
That's the best reason to go to Ohio.
No reason whatsoever. Maybe they can go visit, say, in mid to late April. That might be a good time to go visit that state.
Yeah, there's some nice times to be had in the later parts. Ooh, something's happening. They've got them all lined up.
Ooh, okay, things are getting started. Okay, I am going to turn on the live feed here. Hopefully, again, apologies in advance if I hit the wrong button. And stick around. Let's watch this debate. We'll pipe in from time to time, and we are going to talk to you guys right afterwards. If they are about to cut to commercial, I'm going to be so... They are about to cut to commercial.
Well,
this is the fun of it. Nope. Are they? They're back now. Okay.
They didn't get the Captain Trump sponsorship like we did.
It's a live show. What are you going to do? Okay. No, they're still yammering on about some things.
They might be trying to wrangle their cat
yes.
to either ensure that the cat does show up or does not.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, a cat's asshole on this show would be a refreshing change.
Yeah.
Something pleasant to look at,
I think
comparatively.
so. Okay, so I've got it muted right now because nothing is happening yet. We're still just
going to continue through the whole night.
Yeah. No, we are gonna unmute it at some point, so we can actually listen to what is being said by people who are not pundits. Right now, we're the pundits, so we're the ones that get to just yammer on. We can say whatever we want right now. Not that. Don't say that. I know what you're thinking. Don't even think about saying that.
Can I mime it?
I'd rather you didn't.
Okay, fair enough. I'll just drink. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to politics. All right, now's a great time for everyone at home to go and get their urine jug out because you're not going to want to miss a second of this.
Yep.
We've got ours here. We didn't have time to fill them ourselves. We actually hired other people to fill our urine jugs before the show for efficiency.
Yeah.
If you'd like to buy some definitely not clean urine, hit us up in the comments.
Right, exactly. And there's a lot of plastic tubing that you guys cannot see here. It's a messy business, the whole urine thing. Okay. I think... Oh, no, we're doing a sexy intro now. It's the White House. That's the thing they're all trying to get to.
Yeah,
Here's
that
some
makes
people
sense.
that are going to be there.
Like, thematically, I see where they're going with
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Vote Republican.
Oh.
That's,
Okay.
way to soft sell it, guys.
There we go. We got some people wearing some outfits.
Tim did not get a good photo in that one.
Some issues. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn the sound on
Let's
for
hear
this and hope that works.
Who is best to take on President Biden? And can any of them first beat former President Trump?
Probably not.
Even at the debate. Why is he getting so much screen time?
The candidates are here.
It's Trump, B-roll, and then everyone in the debate.
Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. And South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
All right.
From NBC
Bring 'em out.
News, the Republican presidential debate. Live from the Adrian Arsht Center in Miami, Florida.
That's fun to say. Arsht.
Yeah, it seems a little upscale for such a swarmy event, though. It's a little gross to be put
Yeah.
there.
Sounds British to me. Like I can't be Arsht to watch this debate.
And good evening,
Sadly,
everyone. Welcome to the Republican presidential debate. I'm Lester Holt, anchor of NBC Nightly News.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Welker, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press.
Hello, I'm Hugh Hewitt, host of Salem Radio's The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Who?
We are now just 68 days from the Iowa caucuses when Republican primary voters will begin to determine their party's nominee for president.
It seems like
Tonight
only
we'll
3
question
years ago we
5
started
candidates
this
seeking that
God, no
nomination
kidding.
on how they're best
lived a
prepared to be
lifetime since
commander-in-chief. And of course, how best to bring down prices impacting Americans across the country. We have 2 hours for a serious debate on the
2
issues
hours? You
that
did not
matter
tell me
most
the
to
prep would be
Republican
2 hours.
voters.
I'm sorry.
Candidates will
Just-
have 1 minute and 30
I hope
seconds
you
for
can-
answers and the opportunity for a closing statement. Follow-ups will be at the discretion of all of us at the table, the moderators. Invoking a candidate's name or policy does not necessarily mean the mentioned candidate is entitled to a response. We want to caution all the candidates not to interrupt or speak over your fellow debaters. If you talk over each other, the
This
voters
time.
can't hear you.
Yeah.
And given the critical issues
Nailed
we're
it.
facing specifically on the world stage,
Not gonna happen,
we want
Lester.
everyone to hear every word you have to say. Continued interruptions may result in loss of additional questions. And to our audience, please hold your applause so
They
that
ain't
the
listening to your
candidates can
question,
be
Les.
heard.
They just not.
With that said,
Nope.
let's have a good debate. All right, our
Good
first
luck,
question, the opening question, is
I
one
love
for
his
all of
optimism.
you.
He has not seen one of
Donald
these
Trump
before.
is the first ex-president in more than 100 years to run for the White House again. And he remains popular among Republican primary voters as his legal challenges mount.
He's
Governor
threatening them,
DeSantis,
right?
let me begin with you on this one. Speak to Republican voters who are supporting Donald Trump. Why should you
Oh,
and
he's doing
not
that thing
him
with his
be the
face where he
Republican
Oh, he
pretends
is.
to smile.
to face Joe Biden a year from now?
Oh,
This country is in trouble, and the elites that have put us here, they don't care about you. They don't care that you're having to grapple with higher grocery prices or have higher gas prices. They don't care that your family's less
Question.
secure because of the open
Aren't
border
all
that's
of
allowed
these
drugs and
a-holes
even
elites?
terrorists to come into this
Yes,
country.
definitely.
Well, I care. I am not going
Now
to sit
I am
idly
confused.
by and let this country continue its downward spiral. We need leadership, and we need it now. I'll take the hits, I'll take the arrows, I'll take the slings, because ultimately it's not about me. It's about you. I will fight for you. I will make sure to lead this country's revival, and I will win for you and your family. Actions speak louder than words. We don't have time for excuses, and it's not something that we're going to be able to have all these distractions. As a veteran, I will get the job done.
He
Now,
looks
if you
so
look where we
tall.
are now, it's a lot different than we were in 2016. And Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016.
He is older
He
than he
No.
was in
be on
2016.
this
Yeah.
stage and explain
He's the same
why
asshole.
he should get another chance. He should explain why he didn't have Mexico pay for the border wall. He should explain why he racked up so much debt. He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. And he said Republicans were going to get tired of winning. Well, we saw last night, I'm sick of Republicans losing. In Florida, I showed how it's done. 1 year ago here, we want a historic victory, including a massive landslide right here in Miami-Dade County. That's how we have to do it.
The fuck out of Florida.
I promise you this, as the nominee,
that's how you get it done.
I mean, he didn't even get his ass kicked by Miramax. It was Disney, like the kids were.
Let me turn to Ambassador Haley. Why you and not the former president?
Well, I think you look at the fact that we're almost $34 trillion in debt. 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of American families can't afford diapers. 1 in 6 American families can't pay their utility bills. You have...
Oh, little break. Good.
Buffering.
Oh, nice.
That was a lot of stats. That woman knows how to bust some stats out on you.
And they are terrifying.
Yeah.
I think I should vote for her now because those things she said were scary.
She's not going to fix this. Let's talk about her outfit while we're buffering here. The collar in the back looks real high.
Ooh.
The fact that he used to be right on Ukraine and foreign issues, now he's
worn
getting
by
weak
Ming
in the
the
knees and
Merciless.
trying to be friendly again.
She's rocking
I think that we've got to go back to the fact that we can't live in the past. We can't live in other headlines. We've got to start focusing on what's going to make America strong and proud. And that's what I'm focused on doing. Let's make sure we pay down our debt. I think we need an accountant in the White House. Let's make sure that we have transparency in the classroom. As a mom, I know what that means. Let's make sure we secure our borders so that our families are safe. Let's get crime down because our families want to know that they can be safe no matter where they go. And as the wife of a combat veteran, I will tell you, the military needs to know we have our back, and we need to make sure that America is...
Ambassador, thank you
The
very much.
tensions day to day in her household seem really high. She is.
Let me just
Yeah.
caution the audience.
Crime
Let's
everywhere.
not go down this road.
We'll
We've
send her
asked you,
some
please,
gummies.
keep restraining yourselves and would be helpful so we can hear the candidates because these are important issues and the voters want and need to hear
Good
them.
luck, Lester.
Mr. Ramaswamy, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer to the Republican establishment.
Correct.
Let's speak the truth.
And the
I
beginning
mean,
of the
since
day.
Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018,
It's Ronna's fault.
2020,
Got it.
Not
2022,
Trump.
no red wave that
Wrong
never
guy.
came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's
knows Ron
moderating
is
this
on the
debate.
stage,
This
right?
should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think
What
the
on
Democrats
earth
and
is he
the
talking
Democrats
about?
They haven't asked any
you think
questions
the
yet.
Democrats would
This is an
actually
opening
hire
statement.
Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Christian, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you the
reasonably certain
Trump-Russia
it should be
collusion
about
hoax
him.
that you
I'm like
pushed on this network for
60%
years.
sure.
Was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation?
He's asking
Answer the question. Go.
moderators a
Mr.
substantive question.
This is
Irrelevant,
how
but substantive.
I don't know what's happening right now.
we need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
And they're going to rig this election
your
on
time
the
is up.
accountability.
Let me turn to
That's
Governor
what United States
Christie. Why
I love his dedication to the bullshit.
audience, let's not do this.
That was
Let's not do
unhinged.
this. Let's
Oh
let
my
the
God.
candidates speak. Governor
He's
Christie,
great.
why you and not former President
I
Trump?
hope somebody gives him a rose.
Well, Lester, look, you said it at the beginning of the debate. We are dealing with extraordinarily important issues facing this country right now. We have our greatest ally in the Middle East under fire from a terrorist group that has committed to wiping them and every Jewish person in this world off the map. We have Ukraine with Vladimir Putin, a communist KGB dictator who wants to put the old band back together. He's starting in Ukraine and he's going to move to the Baltics and Poland after that. We have inflation in this country that is choking every American family that wants to try to rise up. and give their children a better life. And tonight, we need to decide which president is going to be the one to tackle the big issues, who's going to make this country look once again, not just inward, but look outward at the world and say America is the country, the indispensable nation that makes this a safer world. And in a safer world, American innovation, American hard work has always been the thing that has driven our country to greater things. I'm going to be the president who will do those big things. We're not going to be small, and I'll say this about Donald Trump. Anybody who's going to be spending the next year and a half of their life focusing on keeping themselves out of jail and courtrooms cannot lead this party or this country, and it needs to be said plainly.
Governor,
That is a weird swipe at Joe Exotic, but I respect that he's going after the big guys.
Make your case to
Gotta do it.
Republican voters.
Well, certainly. What I would say without any question is that the truth of my life destroys the lies of the radical left. We need a president and a candidate who will actually help our base solidify and attract independent voters into our party. The Great Opportunity Party is now winning back African-American voters and Hispanic voters because we are working on a foundation based on faith. Our nation is facing some deep challenges. It is the loss of faith in this nation that is a part of the erosion that we're seeing every single day. It's restoring faith, restoring our Christian values that will help this nation once again become the city on the hill. When Ronald Reagan talked about the city on the hill, he was coming from Matthew 5. When President Lincoln talked about a house divided, that was Mark. Our founding documents speak to the importance of a faith foundation. You don't have to be a Christian for America to work for you, but America does not work without a faith-filled Judeo-Christian foundation. I would be the president that helps us restore faith in God, faith in each other, and faith in our future.
Right, so we force everyone to be a Christian. That is his platform.
None of the issues,
I like somebody who upholds the Constitution's commitment to not having a religious test.
Being a nation that is, in fact, the city
often by people who could not themselves pass a religious test.
For us to fight for that future.
Senator Scott, thank you. We're going to turn now to the challenges
I
facing.
think go with thank you is the right response to that.
The next commander-in-chief. You'll all be fielding questions first from me and the Republican Jewish Coalition, and then from Kristen and Hugh. So as we continue forward, the Israel-Hamas war is barely a month old. Tonight, Israeli troops are fighting inside Gaza City with over 200 hostages who remain captive there, and civilian casualties mount inside Gaza. As President of the United States, what would you be urging Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do at this moment? Governor DeSantis.
I would be telling Bibi, finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas. They're terrorists. They're massacring innocent people. They would wipe every Jew off the globe if they could. He cannot live with that threat right by his country. That Hamas should release every hostage and they should unconditionally surrender. I'm sick of hearing the media. I'm sick of hearing other people blame Israel just for defending itself. We will stand with Israel in word and in deed, in public and in private. And I can tell you, as governor, I actually did something about it. Biden's neglect has been atrocious. We had Floridians that were over there after the attack. He left them stranded. They couldn't get flights out. So I scrambled resources in Florida. I sent planes over to Israel.
He's really good
I
at
brought
getting
back
people
over
who don't live here on
700
planes
people
to other
to
places.
safety.
Yes.
There
And
could have
buses.
been more
That is his
hostages
superpower. He is real good at that.
Yeah, I think they're all in Martha's Vineyard now.
When they came to Florida, and one of the mothers pointed to a 6-year-old daughter, and she said, my daughter had been saying the last 2 nights, Mommy, I don't want to hear any more bombs, no more rockets. I just want to get back to Florida. So there's a difference between words and deeds.
Yeah, those people do not exist.
And we save lives.
Thank you. Ambassador Haley, what would you do? What would you be urging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do? Would you consider humanitarian pause, for example?
The first thing I said to him when it happened was I said, finish them. Finish them. And the reason is I worked on this every day when I was at the United Nations. And we have to remember that they have to, 1, eliminate Hamas, 2, support Israel with whatever they need, whenever they need it, and 3, make sure we bring our hostages home. We need to be very clear-eyed to know there would be no Hamas without Iran. There would be no Hezbollah without Iran. There would not be the Houthis without Iran. And there wouldn't be the Iranian militias in Syria and Iraq that are trying to hit our military men and women if it hadn't been for Iran. And who is funding Iran right now? China is buying oil from Iran. Russia is getting drones and missiles from Iran. And there is an unholy alliance. We need to be clear-eyed. The last thing we need to do is to tell Israel what to do. The only thing we should be doing is supporting them and eliminating Hamas. It is not that Israel needs America. America needs Israel. They are the tip of the spear when it comes to this Islamic terrorism, and we need to make sure that we have their backs in that process.
All right.
We used to be the tip of the spear when it came to Islamic terrorism.
Yeah.
Boy, did we fuck that up.
We tried to do a just the tip thing.
In
And
terms of
Yeah,
what I would
it
tell the
did
Prime
not
Minister,
work
no.
out
In
well.
fact, I would go one step further. The founding
you
vision
would.
of Israel was based on the idea that they don't want to depend on anybody else's sympathy or direction in defending themselves. So what I would tell Bibi is that Israel has the right and the responsibility to defend itself. I would tell him to smoke those terrorists on his southern border, and then I'll tell him as President of the United States, I'll be smoking the terrorists on our southern border.
Here we
That's
go.
his responsibility. This
That
is
was
our
sassy.
responsibility. That's
That
how
was
we
a
move
soundbite
forward.
that
But I
nobody
want to be
clapped
careful
for.
to avoid
That
making the
ties super red,
mistakes from the neocon establishment of the past.
Yocon, that sounds
Politicians in
dangerous
both
and bad.
parties
I don't
spent
doubt it.
trillions, killed millions, made billions for themselves in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, fighting wars that sent thousands of our sons and daughters, people my age, to die in wars that did not advance anyone's interests, adding $7 trillion to our national debt. And Joe Biden sold
I think
off
Raytheon would
Oh,
disagree.
Joe Biden's son, Hunter
Lockheed
Biden, got
Martin.
$5 million
Yeah, there
back
was
from
some
Ukraine.
interest
That's why
advanced
we're
there.
sending $200 billion back to that same country. The fact of the matter is the Republican Party is not that much better. You have the likes of Nikki Haley, who stepped down from her time at the UN.
Ooh, here we go.
Bankrupt or in debt was her family. Then she becomes a military contractor. She joins the board of Boeing and otherwise, and is now a multimillionaire. So I think that that's wrong when Republicans do it or Democrats do it. That's the choice we face.
But they
Do you
all
want
do
a
it.
leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right,
In
Mr.
which case we've got
Ramaswamy.
two of them on stage today.
Thank you.
That was pretty good.
He
That
thinks
was
they're
pretty
just
good.
3 inches.
You're the president. You're on the phone in the
For
Oval
it.
Office. The Prime Minister, you
Minimum.
tell him
That
what.
was pretty
Well, number one, I would tell Prime Minister Netanyahu,
Thank
not only
you.
do you have the responsibility and the right to wipe Hamas off of the map, we will support you. We will be there with you. We'll stand shoulder to shoulder. There will be no daylight. But I would change the station a little bit, though, and head back home to America. I would say to President Biden, diplomacy only is a weak strategy. Appeasement leads to war. From President Obama to President Biden, Obama sent millions to Iran. Frankly, President Biden has sent billions to Iran. That is why I've said that there's blood dripping from the hands of President Obama and President Biden. I would tell President Biden with great clarity, if you want to stop the 40+ attacks on military personnel in the Middle East, you have to strike in Iran. If you want to make a difference, you cannot just
He
continue
will
to
start
have
a war with
strikes in
Iran if he's
Syria
elected.
on warehouses.
Great.
You actually have
Okay,
to
there's a
cut
good
off the head
takeaway
of
for the
snake,
evening.
and the head of the snake is Iran, and not simply
We don't
the
have enough
bosses.
wars going
In
on,
order
right?
for
No,
us to
no.
have
I mean,
a
last
powerful
time there was a big
response
terrorist attack, we
from
did this
America,
great thing
we
with
have to
wars in
be in a
foreign
position
countries
of
that worked out well
As
for
President of the United States,
literally
my foreign policy
everyone.
Yeah,
is simple.
it's pretty good.
You cannot negotiate with evil. You have to destroy it.
And yet we
All right,
still have
Senator
these
Scott, thank
debates.
you. Senator Christie, I want to get you to weigh in here.
Look, Lester, these problems are so big and serious that the first thing I would say to Prime Minister Netanyahu is pretty simple.
He's very solid.
America is here,
It is.
no matter
And
what it is you
beige.
need,
Like, he's
at any
consistently one tone.
time to
I'm loving
preserve
it.
the state of Israel.
Yeah.
Remember that
who was
Hamas's
it?
main
Susie
goal
Q said
is to get
looks
rid
like
of
you hit
Israel.
the tanning bed, which
Is
I
to get
agree with.
Israel
I like a man who
absolutely
knows
off
his
the map.
Pantone.
Now, there are three things I think I would say to him when he asked for advice. The first I would say is that it is absolutely your obligation to protect the territorial integrity of Israel.
You can help shut down the bridges.
Secondly, to make sure you protect the security and the safety of your people. Every time something happens to compromise either one of those things, it creates greater unrest in the entire region. Second, you must go in and make sure that Hamas can never do this again. The fact is that Israel and their intelligence community failed. They failed here, and they failed the people of the state of Israel. And so we need to work closely and better together to make sure, one, that they're degraded, and two, that we know everything that's going on inside the Gaza Strip when it's going on, so that something like this can't happen to kill 1,400 individuals again. And the third thing is to keep your eye on the ball. Make sure that we continue to isolate Iran, work with the reasonable nations in the Middle East, the other Arab nations who want to partner with you, and make sure that we continue to isolate Iran so that their only friends in the world are the part of the evil foursome: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea.
Christie, thank you very much.
That's the axis of evil.
Right now with a question from Matthew
Not
Brooks,
the evil foursome. Don't make up a new nickname. You've already got one.
A challenge to all our viewers out there. You have a whole comment section that you could fill with facts you looked up and checked before you post them. This has never been done in the history of the internet, especially with anything political.
Attacks that have
Get on that.
Approximately 24
We're not
of our
gonna
U.S. servicemen.
Hell.
Do you support the use of military force by the United States against Iran?
Haley, would you please
Everybody has a big old
Yes,
yes
I'd
for
first
that.
like to say they're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
You sassy bitch.
The second thing that I will
Her
say
teeth match her coat.
is I wear heels are not for a fashion statement, they're for ammunition. What we need to be doing for
I don't
Iraq
understand.
and
The
Syria
fuck is she doing with her
first of all,
heels?
the idea that our men and women could be targeted,
smell
and that
sequel.
we've allowed almost 100 hits to happen under Biden's watch
She's
is
gonna stab somebody in
unthinkable.
the eye with
We
one of
need
her
to
heels.
understand this is Iran giving the green light, telling them what to do, and we shouldn't be doing the tit for tat like what Joe Biden has done. We need to go and take out their infrastructure that they are using to make those strikes with, so they can never do it again. Iran responds to strength. You punch them one and you punch them hard, and they will back off. But what we don't need is Biden falling all over himself to get back in the Iran deal. Him giving $6 billion to get 5 hostages home. Him telling Netanyahu now that he needs a pause or a ceasefire. We don't need him going and sitting there tiptoeing around Iran because he thinks they're going to do something. You don't respond to an enemy and a terrorist with fear. You respond with strength. When you do that, that's when the world pays attention, and that's when Iran stops.
Thank you, Governor
Just like
DeSantis.
after 9/11.
Yeah, the world will definitely pay attention if we blow up Iran, and then we'll be at war with the entire Middle East. So, good thinking.
This time it's going
Would
to
you go
work.
militarily to
Because it
hold
feels
Iran
good
accountable?
to say.
doesn't it
Well, first, Matt,
always?
thanks
I
for your
am mad
question, and I
now.
appreciate what you've done over the last month. I know it's been very difficult for the community, and appreciate you guys rallying together in difficult times. I actually served in Iraq back in the day, and we had Al-Qaeda in Iraq. You had Shia militias that were funded by Iran that were killing hundreds and hundreds of U.S. troops. And as Commander-in-Chief, I am not going to put our troops in harm's way unless you're willing to defend them with everything you have. Biden has them out there. They're sitting ducks. He's doing glancing blows. That's just inviting more attacks from the Iranians. I would say you harm a hair on the head of an American service member, and you are going to have hell to pay. We are not just going to sit there and let our service members be sitting ducks, and that's true whether it's Iran or whether it's any country on the world. We have to be strong, and we have to defend the people who defend us.
All right, thank you, Governor. Now our second and final question from Matthew Brooks of the Republican Jewish Coalition. Please watch.
Jewish students across the country are threatened and under attack. What do you say to Jewish students on college campuses who feel unsafe given the dramatic rise in anti-Semitism? And what do you say to university presidents and college presidents who have not met the moral clarity moment to forcefully condemn Hamas terrorism?
Mr. Ramaswamy, would you like to take that one?
Absolutely.
Hell of a
I think
place
the
to start.
scourge of
Yeah.
anti-Semitism across this country, including
One
in
of these
places
guys
like
gets
my
in the
alma
phrase,
maters and places
"We're
like
sure
Brooklyn
gonna
Bridge
go
in
in
New
these
York.
guys and gonna be
It's
all
sad to
over
see,
it."
but here's what history teaches us. Anti-Semitism is a symptom of a deeper cancer in a country and a society that is lost, and we are lost. Several years ago, when I wrote my first book, Woke Inc., I was talking about they were chanting death to America,
Shameless plug.
death to white people, death to Christians. Nobody was waking up back then. Now it's even bad. Now they're saying death to Israel and worse. So it is wrong, but we have to get to the root cause here. Now, I think it's really important that we do this through leadership, not censorship. Leadership means fill that void with purpose and meaning.
What does that
This
mean?
wokeism and anti-Semitism.
He's going to tell us the root cause here in a second, right? He's going to get to it.
Any second now.
Really
What
important.
they're even talking about when they're siding with Hamas over Israel, they are fools. But I also want to caution here, if we go the direction of Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, with whom I respectfully disagree on this issue,
Which, to be fair, physically they are to the right of him.
Mark my words. Soon they will say if you question a vaccine and its side effects, you're a bioterrorist. Soon they will say that if you show up at a school board meeting, you're a domestic terrorist. Soon if they say that J6 prisoners should be released, you're an insurrectionist terrorist. So that's where this road ends. We don't quash this with censorship because that creates a worse underbelly. We pull it through leadership.
What the fuck is he talking about?
It's not about what he's saying. It's about how long he's saying it and his expression when he says it for that long.
That has no place for this kind of anti-Semitic hate. That's where I stand while respecting our Constitution.
Your time is up. Senator
He
Scott,
mentioned
let me
vaccines
get you
in a question about anti-Semitism? Like,
Let me just say to every single university president in America, federal funding is a privilege, not a right. Number one. Number two,
okay, they like that.
every student who's come
Federal
to our country
feels pretty-
on a visa to a college campus, your visa is a privilege, not a right. Number three, any campus that allows for anti-Semitism and hate, to allow students to encourage terrorism, mass murder, and genocide, you should lose your federal funding today, period.
So is
To
he
all the
for
students
or against
on
military
visas
action?
who are encouraging Jewish genocide,
Pretty
I
sure he
would
wants to blow
deport
up
you
Iran.
from those campuses.
But
We
not in a
have to stay
genocide
strong
Yeah.
with
Like
our
a
Jewish
healthy,
Americans.
growing,
At the end of the day, we should
holistic
not have
sort of
our
structure.
Jewish students in a library being told to hide on our streets in New York. A Jewish citizen has the right to walk on the streets of America with no fear. They have the right to go to college campuses, go to class, and not fear. We will restore that. I started working on anti-Semitism on college
just learned
campuses
that
in
attending college is a right.
2017 because even then there was a rise of anti-Semitism
Way
on
to
college
go.
campuses.
Got
We
my vote.
must force the people off those campuses. And
Senator
frankly,
Scott, thank you. Let me tell you.
That
He
was
zoned
abrupt.
out there for a minute.
That was abrupt.
He entered a fugue stage.
If you are here on a student visa as a foreign national, you're making common cause with Hamas, I'm canceling your visa and I'm sending you home. No questions asked. Second, I have friends here in Florida
No, you don't.
their
Not
kids
true.
do not feel safe even going to university campus at all outside of the
Disneyland.
state of Florida. You have Jewish students fleeing for their lives at Cooper
In
Union.
Florida.
Joe Biden should have the Department of Justice on these college campuses and holding the universities accountable for civil rights violations. When you should
Aren't
not
you the
have
governor
money
of
going
that
to these
state?
places. I
Joe
already
Biden's
acted in
fault.
Florida. We had a group, Students for Justice of Palestine. They said they are common cause with Hamas. They said, we're not just in solidarity, this is what we are. We
Microphone's in trouble.
deactivated them. We're not going to use state tax dollars to fund jihad. No way. And what is Biden doing? Not only is he not helping the Jewish students who are being persecuted, he is launching an initiative to combat so-called Islamophobia. No, it's the anti-Semitism that's spiraling out of control. That is what we have to
It
confront.
can
And as
be
president, I can
both.
tell you this. We are not going
It
to stand
seems
for
like
this
it's
on college
possible for
campuses
both
any
of those
longer.
groups to be hated at the same time, given historical precedent
What he just said. You let a
of the
state with a
past
sizable Muslim
few thousand
population
years.
last
Them,
month,
yeah.
as you know,
Yeah.
a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy was killed in Illinois by his landlord. His mother was also stabbed more than a dozen times in what has been charged as a hate crime. What do you say to Muslim Americans who are also feeling afraid for their safety right now?
Proud New Jersey American
Lester,
says
I'm
getting
the only
killed.
one on the stage who's actually had experience in dealing with this. I was appointed by President Bush to be the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey on September 10th, 2001.
Oof.
And when I took over that job after the
way to start.
September 11th attacks, I had to deal with a situation in our
This
state
post hoc
that was
does ergo
explosive.
that proper
We're the most
hoc.
Yeah.
ethnically diverse state in this country. And so first, we heard credible reports about Jewish students and synagogues being threatened in our state in the aftermath of 9/11. We made sure that we sent federal agents to those synagogues and we protected them, and the same thing should be being done now. At the very same time, I personally went from mosque to mosque in New Jersey and met with the leaders of those mosques and with the members of the mosques. And I said to them, law enforcement is on your side to protect you, regardless of your religion, if you are going to comply with the law. And we developed fabulous relationships with Muslim Americans all across the state of New Jersey, and we stopped any hate crimes that were going on either against Jewish Americans in New Jersey or Muslim Americans in New Jersey.
We will protect you in spite of your religion.
It does seem a touch upfront judgy.
Both sides need to know.
It's like, your religion's definitely a problem, but we're going to help you anyway.
Even though you are fundamentally flawed as a human
people.
Well,
the Jewish people
as a
stand for right and justice, and Hamas and Hezbollah stand for
he
death.
lent them the power of the defense of the state at the reasonable vig that was appropriate in the mafia at the time.
Sure.
18%.
I think, you look at the country, and the country is all out of sorts. I think, look at what these kids are dealing with on college campuses. What makes me so angry is not only do you have the kids barricaded in the library, they said they were going to shoot up the kosher dining hall. You've got kids' dorm rooms who are being set on fire because they have something related to Israel on their doors. No person should ever feel in danger like this. And this is what I would say about our college presidents, is if the KKK were doing this, every college president would be up in arms. This is no different. You should treat it exactly the same. Anti-Semitism is just as awful as racism, and we've got to make sure they're protected. And for everybody that's protesting on these college campuses in favor of Hamas, let me remind you something. Hamas said death to Israel and death to America. They hate and would kill you too. And the idea that they're talking about genocide for the Jewish people, that's not the values of America. That's not us. We're better than that. We don't need to celebrate terrorists. We don't need to celebrate genocide. We don't need to celebrate violence towards anybody. We need to go back and soul search in our country and remember what we are about.
I like how she said we don't celebrate violence against anybody after everybody just said, let's bomb the fuck out of Iran.
She didn't say celebrate it, just a small office get-together. It's not a celebration.
Just a sheet cake, one layer.
And all the people who voted for the Palestinian Authority,
the United States has given Ukraine financial and military support
basically
since
really
the
easy to
war
lump in
began
with
more than
Hamas.
600 days ago. President Zelensky told me on Sunday, if Russia isn't stopped now, quote, the price will be higher for the United States, and Americans would be forced to, quote, send your sons and daughters to defend NATO countries. Senator Scott, where do you stand on more funding for Ukraine?
I certainly have been very supportive of Ukraine. I believe that ultimately we should make sure that the President of the United States states what is America's national vital interest in Ukraine. It is actually in degrading the Russian military. We've been very effective using our resources and our weaponry and the incredibly high price of Ukrainian blood to achieve that objective. Every day we get closer to the degradation of the Russian military, and that's good news. But the American people are frustrated that they do not have a president who reminds us and tells us, where's the accountability? Where are those dollars? How are those dollars being spent? We need those answers for us to continue to see the support
where do you think they're being spent?
At the same time,
his policy would then be to continue this war as long as possible to continue to degrade Russia.
And Israel,
so he wants to throw Ukraine.
We need to focus specifically on providing
just use them up. They're just Eastern European countries. We got more, right?
So that we show the world that we are 100% undeniably standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel. And then as we turn away from that direct support for Israel, we should go to our southern border and close our southern border with the resources necessary.
Okay, again, we're talking about Ukraine.
We have sleeper terrorist cells in America. Thousands of people have come from Yemen, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. If we are going to deal with the national security emergency at our border, we have to do it.
Did we blow a lot of
countries up? Thank you, but just to be very clear, if you were president, if you were in the Oval Office today,
we slid into their DMs for sure.
On military funding for Ukraine, or would you discontinue it?
Bottom line is we have to first have the level of accountability that allows the American people to understand where the resources have gone. Number one. Number two, after we have that responsibility taken care of and accountability, then we have an opportunity to look at the overall strategy that helps us degrade the Russian military while we use our resources and, frankly, keeping our NATO partners safe from the Russian military is absolutely essential. As you understand, Article 5 would require to support and to defend NATO, our troops on the ground. The fastest way for us to eliminate that possibility is for us to destroy, to the extent possible, the Russian military. By doing so,
but not
actually achieve the objective of keeping our military home. And that's good news.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Mr. Ramaswamy,
so we destroy the Russian military by keeping ours home.
Yes, by destroying Ukraine.
I am absolutely unpersuaded.
But we need a solid accounting how much we
watching
spent.
the Ukraine Hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it. Now they're actually quietly coming around to be more cautious as they should. Level with the American people here. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is
He was actually a very popular comedian on a TV show.
Facts for you that you won't hear from the mainstream media or the mainstream media. The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now in the Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk. These are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014. That other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts.
I'm from South Texas,
and so framed as some kind of battle between good versus evil,
primarily
don't buy it. And I like the likes of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians?
I guess.
That is actually what's
Borders
happening.
are defined
They're
by
using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian Parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this one time.
Worst bet is about to go back to Germany, I think.
Their banning of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank
Wait,
you.
she's rolling her eyes.
Thank you. We asked the questions.
Man.
He was just about to go after her and they cut him off. Ooh.
I hope you can see those eye rolls because she's doing it as hard as she ever has.
I felt that. I felt the ground tremble with that eye roll.
That could become president. They would love to see. So this is what I will tell you.
Here we go. Everybody take a drink. It's time.
The ambassador has the floor.
Thank you. The first thing I'll tell you
Ambassador.
is we all remember what that thug did when he invaded Ukraine. We all know that 500,000 people have died because of Putin. And here is a freedom-loving, pro-American country that is fighting for its survival and its democracy. No, I don't think we should give them cash. I think we should give them the equipment and the ammunition to win. And I'll tell you, if Biden had done it when they first asked for it, this war would be over. But let's also remember this.
Feels like
when you left Afghanistan in shambles and left them with a ton of weapons and money, it's not that we left,
Congress
it's how we
that
left.
approves
When you look at
they have the power of the
Ukraine,
purse.
don't think for a second, now
You can only send them
everybody wants
what's
to
been
move away from
approved.
Ukraine. They'll want to move away from Israel a year from now. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends. After 9/11, we needed a lot of friends. Now is the time to get partnerships. This unholy alliance between Russia, Ukraine, and China is real. There is a reason the Taiwanese want us to support the Ukrainians. It's because they know that China's coming after them next. There is a reason Ukrainians want us to support Israelis, because they know that if Iran wins, Russia wins. We have to see the combination of the three.
Ambassador, thank you. Governor Christie, what is your take? And how long should Americans be expected to help fund the war in Ukraine?
Kristen, let's remember the last time that we turned our back on a shooting war in Europe. It bought us just a couple of years. And then 500,000 Americans were killed in Europe to defeat Hitler. This is not a choice. This is the price we pay for being the leaders of the free world. And the fact is, this alliance is not just with Russia and China.
Fucking hate when that happens.
Governor Haley knows this. Iran is in the middle of this as well, and so is North Korea. And they are all working to support Russia right now. And the reason they're doing it is because dictators work together. People who believe in democracy work together. We must stand with all of those that are standing up for democracy and freedom in this world. And by the way, let's remind everybody of this. In 1992, this country made a promise to Ukraine. We said if you return nuclear missiles that were part of the old Soviet Union to Russia and they invade you, we will protect you. An American promise that's 31 years old is no different than an American promise that's made tonight on this stage.
Anywhere on Twitter.
Yeah.
Those of us who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Hashtag show me the money.
And the absolute giving in to dictators, which is being suggested on this stage, just shows the immaturity of the approach.
Dr. Christie, thank you. Governor DeSantis, I'd like
Wasn't he the guy
Vivek immature?
He was the guy that supported Trump through his entire,
the whole
time.
The whole time.
With the support for dictators.
Any suggestion by Zelensky or anyone else that we're going to eventually have U.S. troops out, I can tell the American people when I'm president, that will not happen. We are not going to send your sons and daughters to Ukraine. I am going to send troops to our southern border. If you look at the threats that we face, terrorists have come in.
I like that. I won't send them to Ukraine, but I'm definitely sending them into Mexico to blow up meth labs. I'm sure that makes people feel a lot better.
Well, he figures we've got all these troops, we might as well use some of them up.
Most of that's Ukraine, including some of it going to pay pensions for bureaucrats and salaries. That is a totally ridiculous use of American tax dollars. He says he has money for a border to try to do, and the media repeat that. When you look at it, what most of the money is money to process more illegal aliens into this country. How is that solving the problem? That's making the problem worse. And what does he do for the Indo-Pacific? A pittance. That is the top threat that we face.
Also, ignoring the reason why anybody wants to come to this country in the first place is
and do their fair share.
Well,
and we need to get serious about the top
we
threat that this country faces, which is the Chinese Communist Party.
So if I Thank you, Governor.
Totally sneak into Miami for some of that good-ass Cuban food.
Ukraine and Gaza and Israel to what many people are calling the new Cold War with China. And I remind the audience that it's important for our visitors at home to be able to hear you, and especially for the people in Beijing to hear you.
Like
many Republicans believe that the Chinese Communist Party and General Secretary Xi is an existential threat to the United States. The flashpoint is Taiwan. For decades and decades, the American military, but primarily the United States Navy, has deterred an attack from China to the island state of Taiwan. But Ronald Reagan's Navy of 600 ships
is gone. This guy's voice is freaking me out.
Now, the question to you is, and I'll start with you, Ambassador Haley, because you were in President Trump's cabinet. His goal was a 355-ship Navy. That's what he pushed for. He got to 300. It's now at 291. Is that big enough to deter and, if necessary, defeat an invasion of Taiwan?
Ooh.
China has the largest naval fleet in the world. They have 350 ships. They'll have 400 ships in 2 years. We won't even have 350 ships in 2 decades. China has built up their military. It's not just land, air, and sea. They're doing cyber. They're doing artificial intelligence. They're doing space.
I like how they're
America
making her
needs
count
to modernize our military. We need to do everything we can. The first thing is you go and you make sure you have the backs of Ukraine. That's why the Taiwanese want us to support Ukraine, because they know that sends the biggest message to China. The second thing is we go to China and we start being tough on them. No more sales of our American soil to China, and let's take back what they've already stolen. Then you go and you to the universities. No more having millions of dollars go to our universities. Then we will go and end all formal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans from
honestly,
something Ron is
guys, we
to
should
say
look
that
into
he's
this.
going to do.
And
then we modernize our military. When we strengthen our military, when we modernize it with the focus of cyber, artificial intelligence, and space, when we make sure that we have the backs of our friends, whether it's in Israel, whether it's in Ukraine, and we should be arming Taiwan. Make sure they have the equipment they need. Make sure they have the training they need now. There's nothing China fears more than knowing that America will have Taiwan's back. Let's make sure that we show it by making sure they have the equipment they need.
Governor DeSantis, my question is specifically about the Navy. It's at 291. It's going to go down perhaps as low as 280. Is it enough? And what would you build if you were going to build more?
Not enough. We have to have the ability to back up a strategy of denial of President Xi's ambitions. And if China is able to be the world's leading superpower, that will affect you and your family in ways that are going to be very bad. They will export authoritarianism all around the world as the cost of doing business. They will impose things like social credit scores and internet monitoring. So this is to this generation what the Soviet Union was to the post-World War II generation. I've already released a plan.
I don't know that we can call other people out on internet monitoring anymore, Ron.
85 ships at the end of the second term, but we're going to have a path to 600 ships over the next 20 years. I think the future of freedom is going to be determined in the Indo-Pacific. We have a strategy not just military, but decoupling from the economy and fighting them here at home with their cultural. You know, Ambassador Haley said somehow
with our culture.
We're going to fight them with our cultural.
Carolina, gave them land near a
damn right,
military
Ron.
base, wrote the Chinese
Legs are looking great, baby.
love letter saying what a great friend they
Strong
were.
calves.
That was like
So
their
tall.
number one way to do economic development. In Florida, I banned China from buying land in this
She's
state.
like, I'm going to eat you for lunch.
Oh, she's got a pen!
She's got a pen. Oh, that's dangerous.
We've recognized the threat, and we've acted swiftly
She's about
and
to
decisively.
Bush Senior.
In the Congress since 2011, defense spending has fallen over that entire period of time. Where are we going to get the money, and what would you build, and what kind of ships to deter China from
Why does this guy care about the number of ships so much? That's such a weird question.
Like $30 riding on it with his best friend, and he is gonna fucking solve that bet tonight.
It's like ships in a jar, and you have to guess how many are in there. Like, what's
Frankly, if
happening?
we are not prepared to fight and engage in 3 continents at the same time, think about where we are today. In the Middle East, we are in the midst of trying to back our strongest ally. In Eastern Europe, we've seen our resources and our weaponry help degrade the Russian military. The Indo-Pacific, we have real challenges. The long-term threat is China. Immediate threat is our southern border. In order for us to have the military,
Good. I was worried nobody was going to talk about Mexico.
Continents at the exact same time, we are going to have to invest heavily in our military, but we're also going to have to invest heavily in an industrial base so that we can hit our objectives from a military perspective, not only with our ships, but also with our planes. We are so old as a military.
Hugh asked you about ships. He did not ask you about planes, sir. You are out of order.
Why are none of these anti-American bastards even talking about Space Force?
By having high-tech manufacturing come back to America, decoupling from China, so that
future of warfare, damn it.
On creating that industrial revolution that
Blow
will
up
be
your ass
necessary
with the moon.
for us to achieve the goal of having
They've got
a
an
military
esports team
that is
that's going
ready
to
be
rocket us
lethal
to world
and
domination.
Senator, Mr. Ramaswamy, I'm
Space
looking for
Force.
specifics.
Oh, dear.
What would you
Do
build?
you want
Where
the
would you
shirt,
build
though?
it? When would they be in the water? How big would the fleet get?
First answer is end the toxic divest to invest program. For people who don't know about that, we're decommissioning ships in the South China Sea. The foundation of war is economics. Rebuild our defense industrial base at home. But here's the dirty little secret. Our actual defense industrial base depends on China for the supply chain, for the F-35 jets, for the ships.
Wait,
that we're
are we
building
somehow
to
tied in with
Why would
other
we
parts of this
stockpile if
world?
it isn't to actually be strong against our
We
enemy,
haven't
China?
been so
We
foolish
depend
as to
on them for
integrate
that.
our
Just like
country
we
with
depend on
other
them for
countries in
pharmaceuticals.
sort of a
Just like we depend on them for
globe
semiconductors.
of countries,
Yeah.
have we?
I feel that. Find that hard to believe.
Because we depend on them for our modern way of life, and we have to declare economic independence from our enemy. That's the Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson, at the age of 33, would have signed.
Okay.
And today, if you
I don't know why we're bringing his age into it, but here we go.
He would have signed it if Vivek Ramaswamy was there to drone on weirdly about things that sort of sound like it.
Yeah.
Bringing the CCP to South Carolina. What he left out, though, Ron, and be honest about it, there was a lobbying-based exemption in that bill that allowed Chinese nationals to buy land within a 20-mile radius of a military base lobbied for by one of your donors. So I think we have to call a spade a spade.
He's trying all 7 of his expressions. He's just trying to find the right one. Try to smile again.
My message to Xi
There it
Jinping
is.
is this. You are done buying land in this country. You will not donate to universities in this country. U.S. businesses won't expand into the Chinese market until you play by the same set of rules.
I bet they will.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will, dude. And I bet we're still going to take their money.
Yep.
Financially. Which
Over and over again.
We have to hold them accountable.
Do you have a number and a plan?
I think that we need to increase our naval capacity by at least 20% over the course of the next several years.
What a nice round number.
We have to, at minimum, be able to meet our AUKUS agreement standards. Right now, we are at risk of not even being able to meet our AUKUS standards with Australia and the UK. So what we need to do
Perhaps
is have a plan
he is the one what has done dealt it.
of the divest invest program.
Hugh, I'd like to
Jonathan
over the next 3 years.
Governor Christie?
You know, my first observation, Hugh, is that nobody answers your question. And my
well, that's not an answer to this damn question either.
To be fair, it's an impossible question.
I know China is the enemy, and that's what we should be focused on. So let's be really clear. The nuclear submarines in this United States Navy is the greatest deterrent to Chinese aggression, and that is the first place I would go to increase American naval power.
So not boats,
Our nuclear
boats underwater.
submarines are able to move stealthily, quietly, and effectively, and if we are going to deter
You know, I heard
China
about something
from
like this when I was at
invading
Mar-a-Lago.
Taiwan, the only way we're going to do it is to make sure that
Yeah,
they
I
don't
talked to
know
this weirdo
whether how
pervert
many
for a
nuclear
while and told me
submarines in the
all
United
about
States of
this.
America are in the South
I
China
did
Sea
not
and in that
want to
area,
hear about
and
it.
ready
He
to
just
strike
would not
on
shut up.
them
Yeah. We
if
were in
they
the bathroom
decide to
with some
move on
classified
Taiwan.
documents at the time.
So we, as our
Oh
first
my God.
priority, need to go directly
Most
to our nuclear
medium
sub-program
bathroom
queue,
reading I've
and
ever
we need
done.
to increase it drastically. That
It was
would be
secure. That
priority
door
number
locked from
one.
the inside.
Ships would come next, but to me, the ships are secondary choice here. The submarines are the single most important thing that we could be deterring, that we could be using to deter China.
Who's ready to vote
But
right
the other
now?
thing we could do
Do we want to
deter
queue up
China is
Andy
to let them
Samberg's
know
I'm
that
on a
the
boat
blood money
for this question?
from Russia in
How about
Ukraine
instead
right
of
now
this question?
will not be effective. That
I
we send
mean,
Putin home with his
they did
tail
put all
between
these
his
dicks in a
legs
box.
and make them understand
That-
the
that
same
is
fate
an
waits
excellent
for
point.
them.
America,
If they
the
decide
lonely
to move
island.
towards Taiwan,
How many
with a
votes
more
do we
aggressive
need?
nuclear
No one has
sub-program,
ever
we'll be
asked
able to
how
make
many
that
votes
threat
do we
real.
need question.
Governor, we're going to take a brief pause now. We'll be back to the Republican presidential primary debate. Please stay tuned.
Okay,
All right.
we're gonna take a little break for commercials. I am gonna mute that so we don't have to listen to the commercials. So far,
I'm feeling
Wow.
pretty good about this.
this is fucking wild.
America's in a great place. Our democracy is secure
Yes,
for
it will be as soon as we blow
all
up
time.
Iran.
Yes.
As soon as we get that done,
We're going to help out
Good.
the Ukraine,
Unless
whichever
we
it is, by blowing up Iran
and Mexico.
and Mexico,
Those
for Israel with our submarines
Yeah,
in China.
sure. Maybe we'll sprinkle some planes on top.
But, and I'm sorry, I think it's a problem at this point, they have some of our land. Apparently we've sold that to them.
Yeah.
What if they hold it up while we're bombing them?
Ooh, God.
could- I
that'd
mean-
be not good.
No.
Yeah.
Listen, in the comments, if you guys have solved these world problems, please let us know.
First of all, we are dying at the comments. These are so funny. We have some very funny people watching this show, and I'm so excited about it. I want to say hi to JD, who made it here. Hello, JD. I also want to say hi to John Klebs, my buddy. How you doing? And Jonathan C., you are right. Ron has definitely got resting smelled a fart face. That is one of the truest things that I think I've ever heard.
There's a good chance he's
love
writing
that.
from Utah too, so take that.
John says we should vote for Bodie McBoatface.
Is that an option? 'Cause yes.
Except Chris Christie wants submarine McSubmarine face. So we gotta get that going.
Well, because those can go under the bridges. He actually
Yeah.
does not like submarines. That's
No.
why he knows so much about them.
No, he wants to go under the bridge like Anthony Kiedis, circa 1990 something. I did not
Oh,
realize
90s.
this until John said so. I did not realize that this was Four Seasons Total Landscaping Day, the best day in political history. So let's all take a moment to appreciate the genius of the person who failed to schedule the Four Seasons and said, no, you know what? I got this. I can figure this out.
It is traditionally celebrated by going to your favorite friend's, well, not their house, but somebody whose name sounds like their house,
Sure.
showing up there, and then just,
Sure.
being too chicken to admit that you're in the wrong place. And,
Right,
You
right.
stay, you hang out, you sweat.
Yeah. You don't go to Arlene's house, you go to Ariel's house, and you just, see what happens. Excuse me. All right, the debate should be starting back up in just a second.
I don't want to miss a second of this. I want to miss the whole damn thing.
It's just so good. A few things I have noted. First of all, that just the introduction by Vivek Ramaswamy and then everything he said after that has just been the most unhinged thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, you know, hey, Vivek, what's your favorite soda? And he's like, Iranian vaccines. And you're like, what's happening right now? Like, I don't, I am stupefied. But I do love the eye rolls by Nikki Haley.
They're good.
That is giving me life. Again, really hate to agree with her on things. It's so weird.
It feels dirty.
It's so weird.
Feels very dirty.
Very weird.
Fun note, CNN's rolling live updates, now that they had a second to breathe, the first one since they went to pause was a fact check on Vivek Ramaswamy.
I love it.
I'd say go check it out yourselves, but honestly, did you believe anything he said? He's no Nikki Haley.
All right, we're going to start things back up here. Let's go.
Specifically about TikTok.
Yeah,
Last
the hell was
week,
that?
Congressman Mike Gallagher, who is chairman of the House Bipartisan
They all have to do a
Select
TikTok
Committee on the
dance.
Chinese Communist Party,
Without
published
China
a long
seeing.
essay on TikTok following the flooding of pro-Hamas propaganda onto TikTok accounts across the United States. Chairman Gallagher called it shocking. He called the app predatory, controlled by America's preeminent adversary, one used to push propaganda and divide America. It's spyware, he said, a means of surveillance. Governor Christie, do you agree with Chairman Gallagher? And if so, would you ban or force the sale of TikTok?
I agree 100% with Chairman Gallagher, and let me say this. TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people all throughout this country, and they're doing it intentionally. And when you saw what happened in the last few weeks with all of this anti-Semitic, horrible stuff that their algorithms were pushing out at a gargantuan rate.
Not algorithms.
This is China trying to
They might have used a
the United States of
computer.
America. And this is one of the big failings among many of the Trump administration. He talked tough
Oh shit, here it
about
comes.
TikTok. I heard him do it many times. But when it came down to it, he did not ban them when he could have and should have. And now since then, we've had an additional nearly 6 years of this type of poison being put out throughout the United States, even putting aside the spying, which we know is going on, and the theft of American personal data and information.
That is our FBI's
in my
job,
first
damn
week as
it.
president, we would ban TikTok. They want to go ahead and sell it, let them go ahead and sell it. But I'll tell you another reason we would do it. Facebook's not in China. X is not in China. They're not permitting a free flow of information to the Chinese people from our social media companies, yet we just open the door and let them do what they're doing. TikTok should be banned because they are poisoning American minds, and I would do it week one.
Thank you, Governor.
We do not ban things that poison American minds in this country, sir. We sell them at a profit.
American apps to operate in China.
Yes, I think that China is the top threat we face. They've been very effective at infiltrating different parts of our society. So my policy on China and the Chinese Communist Party is very simple. We win, they lose. And in order to do that, it's not just military, it's economic, and it's cultural. And as the dad of a 6'5" and a 3-year-old, I'm concerned about the data that they're getting from our young people and what they're doing to pollute the minds of our young people. These kids get these devices and they have a mind of their own. I know a lot of parents are looking, it's hard to even keep it out. China's obviously the most extreme, but this is happening with other things. So we are going to do that, and we're going to make sure to protect the American people. It's a full spectrum approach to be able to fend China off. Yes, military deterrence. Yes, economic decoupling, but also their role in our culture. If we ignore that, we're not going to be able to win the fight.
Thank you, Governor. Ambassador Haley, speak to the parents out there. There are probably TikTok apps on half the phones in this auditorium.
No, I'm going to speak to the fact that 2 people hit me and you didn't let me respond. So let's first talk about the fact that
grievance politics.
about the Chinese land. from 10 years ago. Yes, I brought a fiberglass company 10 years ago to South Carolina. But Ron, you are the chair of your economic development agency that as of last week said Florida is the ideal place for Chinese businesses. Not only that, you have a company that is manufacturer of Chinese military planes. You have it there expanding 2
the whole night.
One which is 12 miles away from a naval base. Then you have another company that's expanding, and they were just invaded by the Department of Homeland Security. So mine was 10 years ago. Yours was 6 months ago. What's your story?
And I abolished that agency that she's talking about.
No,
Enterprise Florida, we abolished it, and of course we banned China from buying
the
land.
website
Not
last
exactly
week.
a great recruiting pitch if you're banning them from purchasing
All
land.
right, guys.
So we've
Time for beverages.
Mr. Ramaswamy, we've talked about this. You can't
bring in Vivek.
TikTok. How do you get TikTok banned if you use it?
Well, I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which was about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out your voice.
Vivek Ramaswamy's gone off the top rope with an atomic elbow. Oh, God, it's brutal out there.
Here's the truth. The easy answer is actually to say that we're just
cut
going
him
to
in the
ban
parking
one
lot.
app. We got to go further. We have to ban any U.S. company actually transferring U.S. data to the Chinese. Here's a story.
Yeah, that's an easy thing to do. We don't keep servers all over the world for informational security.
Yeah,
that's
that
not a
should
thing.
be great.
Now, that's a U.S.-owned company. So this is the problem when you have Republicans that temporarily go the way the winds blow, and now it's popular to talk tough on China. When she was UN ambassador, called them literally, her words, not mine, our great friend. You can't be fair weather fans of the right policy. Get to the root cause. Even U.S. companies in Silicon Valley are regularly doing it. Cut the virtue signaling. The fact of the matter is Democrats are on TikTok today. The only person, one of the few people who is putting up content the way the actual algorithms work, speaking for pro-Israel views or others, more Republicans will join it. But stop U.S. companies from turning over.
I need to clutch some pearls. Where are my pearls to clutch?
Don't get to respond to personal attacks, but you do.
Thank you very much. You know, when he talks about me praising China, he doesn't know the fact that the reason China was praised was because I negotiated with China and Russia the largest set of sanctions against North Korea in a generation. That is literally the reason North Korea stopped testing ballistic missiles.
Don't talk shit about Miss Foreign Policy, bitch.
She's going to bring fucking receipts.
You said, Nikki, those are your words, not mine. So just own up to it.
You would never
can change your mind. That's allowed.
It's also his context, not hers.
It's shouting time.
Yes.
My entire career at the United Nations, every day I fought China, and I did it by making
Mick Foley's Hell in the Cell did not get this nasty.
I did it by making sure that we called them out on human rights. I did it by making sure that we held them accountable on everything that they did. That's the reason we got out of the Human Rights Council. That's the reason we called them out. And there's not been a day
I think Ron might still be an assistant urinalysis tester, but for the country.
Hang on the rules here, Mr. Ramaswamy. Senator Scott.
He's certainly taking the piss out of
We
this.
should. I appreciate y'all
You guys
talking
are
for me
cracking
already.
me
This is wonderful. Without any question. What we should do is ban TikTok, period. Now, we saw under
Well, that'll solve the problem. Once we ban TikTok, I mean, then we'll only have to find some other scapegoat to ban.
You should eliminate the Chinese presence on the
I love that
period.
we are really trying so hard to connect with young people right now. Really getting that youth vote.
I do respect and appreciate the youth.
To be on those apps. I think it's
The
incredibly important
two
for us
youths.
as Americans to take back control of the information,
I mean, I
especially
understand
of our
that
kids.
Ron DeSantis'
Where does it
children
go? We should
have
know
themselves
that.
interact
One of the
with
ways that we
China
get to know that is by
despicably
having a parental consent.
through the
But if we
TikToks.
can eliminate TikTok, that is a first step. But it's not just TikTok.
What the fuck is step 2? Exactly.
Also, don't we have bigger fucking fish to fry than fucking TikTok right now? I mean, we are in the middle of 2 wars with a third one on the way.
When it comes to the Republican diehards, first it's TikTok, and then it's skateboarders, and then it's kids on my goddamn lawn.
In that order.
Literally stealing our MIP to compete against
Poverty?
us.
Not on the
In
list.
my administration, we stopped that.
You know what? They can have a pension like everyone else.
Sure that we create
I mean, they can't. Certainly not Social Security. That shit's gone. We needed it for other stuff.
Q, thank you so much. We're now going to talk about Venezuela.
I feel bad about talking
Millions have
through
fled
Tim
political
Scott,
and
but
economic
no one
turmoil.
cares what he has to
Many
say.
Venezuelan
So.
immigrants
I'm surprised he even showed up. I mean, bravely done, Tim.
President Trump and President
This
Biden
campaign
have
is gonna be
taken
over
different
tomorrow.
approaches to Nicolas Maduro's regime with little result. Former President Trump put economic pressure on Venezuela and backed one of Maduro's
Venezuela.
rivals.
Oh,
President
dear.
Biden temporarily eased sanctions to
This is
encourage
gonna get a
electoral
little
reforms. Governor DeSantis, do you see
Do you want to
the
count how many
situation in
seconds
Venezuela
it'll take
as a
until someone
threat
says
to the
Mexico?
United States, and what
yes.
would your approach be?
We should never rely on Venezuela for oil like Biden has had to go beg. I'm going to unleash all of America's energy potential. On day one, I'm taking all the Biden regulations, the Green New Deal, ripping it up and throwing it in the trash can where it belongs. We're going to lower your gas prices. We're going to create jobs. We're going to lower energy costs. But we're also going to be more energy independent and secure. We'll choose Midland over Moscow. We'll choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs. And we'll choose Bakken over Beijing. That is good for America's national security. Biden's Green New Deal, that's good for Venezuela, it's good for Russia, it's good for Iran, and it's good for China. So I would turn the screws on the Venezuelan regime. I think it's a corrupt, dictatorial regime, and we should never go hat in hand begging for oil from them.
Just to be clear, would you reimpose the sanctions?
Yes, absolutely.
Ambassador Haley, what would your approach be?
You know, I stood on the Simon Boulevard Bridge and watched thousands of Venezuelans cross for hours in the hot sun, holding their babies to get the one meal they might get that day, going from Venezuela to Colombia. They were fleeing socialism and begging for freedom. We need to make sure that we do everything we can to sanction Maduro. We shouldn't be getting dirty oil, and Biden just gave 500,000 Venezuelans temporary priority status, which is just going to have more of them come. But on the energy side, it cracks me up that Ron continues to do this. He has opposed fracking. He's opposed drilling. Last time he said it wasn't true, and everybody found out that it was true. He opposed it before Florida voters even voted on it. He was praised by the Sierra Club, and you're trying to make up for it and act like you weren't a liberal when it comes to the environment. You were. You always have been. Just own it if that's the case, but don't keep saying you're something that you're not.
Let me respond to that. Our whole energy plan, you can't get the shale without fracking. We are absolutely going to frack, but I disagree with Nikki Haley. I don't think it's a good idea to drill in the Florida Everglades, and I know most Floridians agree with me.
You ban fracking.
Thank you very much. Lester?
There's nothing worse than banning fracking.
Now I'm staring at him, and the guy's got the physical, emotive range of the Country Bear Jamboree.
Yes.
News, how am I going to make sure my pantry stocked without breaking the bank?
The animatronics at Showbiz Pizza back in the day.
To cut government spending.
Shit.
But that would take time to play out.
You didn't get to go to Chuck E. Cheese, huh?
I try to stay out of that place.
What would you do the moment you take
been banned.
office to help Americans
I don't
manage
want
the
to talk about
cost of living? So we're talking about short term here.
My mother was a single mother who raised me and my brother in a very challenging economic situation. The first thing I can tell you is that when your gas prices are 40% higher right now than they were just a little over 2 years ago, that's not a problem for my mama. That was a crisis. The first thing I would do as President of the United States is I would sign the XL Keystone Pipeline.
Asshole, send your mom some money.
Right.
Shit, dude.
You're a senator.
Make sure that there's
You can
certainty
afford
and
it.
predictability so that those folks who
You got
have
an electric
leases
car.
in our country would have the certainty and predictability to go ahead and become energy independent. We should focus not just on being energy independent. We should focus on being energy dominant. America is the home
this just got kinky. Yeah. What if we like being energy submissive sometimes too? And we just like to play. You know, we like to play.
Are we an energy top or an energy bottom? Who knows anymore?
Give me your natural gas.
Build here.
Who's going to stick their nozzle in the tank, Tim Scott?
That was the diesel hole.
New jobs in 3 different areas.
I'm having
One
a good
is
time.
innovation. Second is the high-tech manufacturing. And the third is the energy economy. We have an opportunity as Americans to actually export the surplus energy that we create in our nation and disconnect from China and from murderous dictators and tyrants around the world.
Your time is up, but let me just follow up. The idea of pumping gas, of turning on pipelines, that doesn't make gas cheaper that day. I'm talking about you become president. What can
Don't
you do
confuse them with facts. It's just going to make them angry. He's shaking me.
Well, actually, it does, to be honest with you. The way that the economy works is it works on the ability to anticipate excess supply versus the demand.
So much have
When that
gravitas
happens,
gravitas.
confidence
Yeah.
drives
And
our
I
prices down
want it
because
for
we know
myself.
there's going to
Needs
be
a
a
little
greater
throat spray,
surplus.
I think.
When you allow for those who have
You got some
leases to
Spielkes.
actually start
Spielkes
drilling,
making
to
that
start
song.
using those leases for more energy excavation, you put our economy in the strongest position, and as a result of that, prices start going down. That is the kind of economy that, as President of the United States, I would lead this nation to making sure that we first use the resources in our own country and not going outside of our country in order to achieve our objective. You know, Proverbs 22:7 reminds us that the borrower is slave to the lender. We have become an indentured servant too often to countries like China. By having an energy economy,
I thought we had a strategic oil reserve, and that as a matter of practice, we tried to use other people's oils first before using up all of our own. That way we always had a...
Don't get hung up on facts again.
Specific examples of ways that would
Doesn't matter who drilled
a
oil
better
for
economic
who.
footing right away.
So I started off working minimum wage jobs. I did $6 an
Matt,
hour
if
as
you're
an
watching,
electrician's
that was a
assistant,
British
worked
accent.
all kinds of things to be able to get through school. And I did that because I believed in America. If you work hard and get the most out of your God-given ability, you can get ahead. And what's happening now, many of you are working hard and you're falling further and further behind. I've met people in Iowa, New Hampshire, and all across the country who've talked about
always talk about the people we've met in Iowa and New Hampshire. We've met so many people in Iowa and New Hampshire.
On their way to
When
church.
they go grocery shopping, what they now do is they figure out what they have to take out of the cart once it's ringing up, because it rings up so much faster and so much higher at the cash register.
Ron, you take everything out of the cart and put it on the belt first. You don't. Has he been doing it that way? Has he been like one-piecing it at the checkout line?
Here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I don't
I'm going to
think
take
that's
all
how
the
it works.
executive orders, the regulations, everything involving Bidenomics. I'm going to rip it up. I'm going to throw it in the trash can on day one where it belongs. That is going to give the economy breathing room. And I'm also going to rein in the Federal Reserve. They have helped create, with their reckless monetary policy, what we have faced since the COVID-19 pandemic. They botched it. Congress botched it.
You mean
Both
bringing us
parties
in
are
for
to
a
blame.
soft landing
Fed
while
should
the
focus
entire
on
rest of the
stable
world is going
prices.
into
They are
recession?
not an
Is that
economic
what you
central
mean?
planner
Because
for the American people.
just to be
Thank you.
clear.
Mr. Ramaswamy, weigh
I'm
in
entirely
on
sure he didn't just blame
ways that you can improve people's financial
Federal
condition in the
Reserve for
short term.
COVID-19.
Right, as a CEO, the economic question is core
It was that
to
or
my
math.
vision
This ought to
policy
be
prescription for this country. Increase the supply of everything. It's the law of supplies and demand. Increase
More
the
supply.
of energy.
If
That
everyone
brings down
had
the
more
cost of
money,
energy,
there would be no
grows the
more
economy.
pores.
Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear.
Yeah.
Increase the supply of labor in this country.
But don't increase
Stop
the
using
supply
our
of solar
taxpayer
energy.
money to pay people more
That would
to
be
stay at home
communist.
instead of to go to work. Increase the supply of housing. People don't talk about this one in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
The
No, they
land use
do. Everyone
restrictions
talks
are
about building more
constricting
fucking
the supply of
houses,
housing.
Vivek.
That's
We also
making
talked about how
housing
there are
more
plenty of
expensive for
houses, they're
ordinary
just all
Americans
owned
across this
by
country.
private
So that's the
companies
true answer. I
that
think it
don't
takes a
rent them
CEO
out
in
or
the White
lease
House
them
who
out
actually
or sell them to people who
understands
need them.
to
No,
get this
that's been
done.
covered.
Because Americans at home, they know that Bidenomics is a lie. Prices are going up. Interest rates and mortgages to buy your home are going up. But wages have remained flat. That's the hard diagnosis for our economy. And this is about more than just our economy. I
That
say this as
last
a member
one
of my
is
generation.
100% true.
I'm 38
There might
years
be
old.
some
I'm the
nuance
youngest
in
person
those
ever to run for
things,
U.S.
and
Yeah.
you
president as
might
a
be
Republican.
cherry
The reason
picking
my generation has lost our sense of
quasi-facts.
A
national
little bit.
pride in part
Here and
is
there.
because people in my generation feel like the American dream isn't available to them. And part of the reason why is we burdened them with four-year college degrees that did not
They
serve
don't need
their
those
head start on the American
educations.
dream. People will be more
Bullshit.
proud of a country if we're all making more money in that country. This is how
Skip
we
your
revive national
education,
pride and our
just make
identity,
more money
and it will
as a
take
youth.
CEO in the White House with
Just
zero
make more
base
money
budgeting, by the way, to
is
take on
actually
federal
an
debt.
excellent plan. I might start doing that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see his follow-up where he just outlines the steps I need to go to just have more of everything I need.
No, you just make more money.
Oh.
It's not hard.
Food gets to your grocery
Like, are we
store,
talking like
it gets
actualize
trucked.
it? Do I need to put
And
it out in
those
the
truckers
universe?
have
Yeah,
to
you
pay
just-
for fuel for the higher
you just
fuel
make more
prices. And when you go ahead and you tell people we
Yeah.
are going to
It's working
unleash
already.
every bit of American energy, every bit of its potential,
Drama
what happens in the futures markets?
Oh my God,
the
so
prices
much.
go down because those people
Have
who
you
are
noticed
believing
how
that the Biden
Chris
program
Christie's
will
tie
continue
isn't
are the ones
as
who are
red
bidding
as
this
everyone
up.
else's?
And let me tell you the
Yeah.
other place that's bidding it up.
Yeah,
in the
it's-
Middle
it's
East.
almost,
and so if you don't believe
a
that
burgundy
making
or a
sure that
mauve.
Israel and that Israel
And that's why he will
situation
not win
that's
this
going on
election.
right now.
I mean,
Is it resolved and resolved quickly
is
as
it a
President of the
plum?
United States?
What is
and
that?
bring stability
That's-
back?
It's
That will also
plum
not
adjacent
permit
for sure.
countries like Saudi Arabia and
All I
others
know-
to be
what
able
I know
to
for
jack
sure
their
is
prices
that
as
it is
well.
not
And
fucking
what they say is
American.
in response to a crisis. When it's
That
really
tie
what
came
it's
from
in
China, if
response
I've
to
ever
is
seen
putting
one.
more money in their
Like the Trump
pockets.
tie.
When they have an
Yes,
American
well,
president who knows that Israel
not-
must
not-
be defended
not
not
those.
with humanitarian
Those are-
pauses and not with suggestions for
They were
ceasefire,
very
but with letting them know we will supply them with everything they need. That will also bring stability to the market. Energy is the key to bringing this down. It's what every American family needs when they turn on their lights, fill up their car, and go to the grocery store. And we need to do that first and foremost. That's the short-term answer.
Governor
Alright,
Christie,
so
thank
Chris
you.
Christie,
Ambassador,
energy
let me come at this from a
and
slightly
submarine.
different direction. Americans in rural
Fuck the
communities
bridges.
are being especially
Yes,
squeezed by
that's
inflation right now.
his three
An Iowa State
platform
University
right
study
there.
found
Yeah,
that
the
last year inflation
three-legged
cost
stool
rural households
of the Christie
about an extra
campaign.
$5,000. How would you specifically help rural Americans who are suffering right now, Ambassador?
Ooh,
Well, I'm
rural
a product of
Americans.
rural America. I grew up in rural South
Republicans
Carolina.
love
and I
talking
can tell
about
you what we're
rural
seeing
America,
now in
don't they?
America
Well,
is
she
the
and
rich
Tim
are
Scott are
getting
gonna have a
richer
fun
and the
one on
poor are
this
getting
one.
poorer.
Yeah.
We got that
We have to go
firearm.
and start beefing up the middle class. And the first
beef,
thing I would do
beef
is
is
I would
super.
eliminate the
People
federal
love
beef,
America.
In
gas,
middle America.
and diesel tax in this country.
Diesel,
We'll
diesel,
cut
diesel.
taxes on the
Yes.
middle class, but we have to stop this spending binge that's happening by Republicans and Democrats in Congress.
Ah, she
I will
fucked
make sure,
up. She said
one, we
Republicans
claw
were
back
doing
the
it.
She did.
$500
Yeah.
billion
You're
of
not supposed to
unspent
do that.
COVID
It's gonna cost
dollars
her.
that are out there. Instead of 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, we'll go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud that exists, one out of every $7. We'll stop the spending,
That
we'll stop
sounds
the
high.
borrowing, we'll eliminate the
does,
earmarks,
and
and I'll veto
why
any
can't
spending
we
bill
just
that
tell
doesn't go
those
back to
IRS agents to
pre-COVID
go
levels.
after,
That will cut
like, the billionaires?
trillions and allow us
And
to be
millionaires,
safe.
like
We
these-
also need to be
Sweet,
not energy
sweet,
independent,
sweet child.
energy dominant. We are blessed with resources. Let's do it. But the reason
Why
no
on
one
earth would you
should
do
give
something
you a
like
number
that?
two
Would
on
be
the amount of ships in the Navy
un-American. It's
is
what
because
China
in 2 years,
wants.
our
China
interest
wants.
expense
China.
is going to be more than our
China.
defense budget. So no one can give you that number realistically without first tackling what's happening with the financial situation. It would
Mike
be a
Johnson
false
wants
number
his
to
son
give you that.
and
We
women
have
to be
got to
worker
understand
factories, to
this
be
is
fair.
a crisis. It is a national security
And he's
concern.
got an
If
alert
we
set
don't
up on
deal
his
with what's
phone.
going to happen with that interest expense in a few years, we're going to look like Japan, and we can't let that happen. The
She doesn't want us to
dollar
look
matters.
so like
Ambassador, thank you very much. Kristen.
Americans could see.
That wasn't.
dial it back.
Americans could see their
Dial
Social
that one
Security
back.
benefits
You're at 11. You need to
drastically
be
cut
it
over the
off.
next decade
Yeah.
because the program is running out of money. Former President Trump has said, quote, under no circumstances
Vivek's got
should
this, just give
Republicans
him
cut
more money.
entitlements. Governor
Just
Christie,
make
first
more.
to you. You have
more money.
proposed raising the retirement age for younger Americans. What would that age be specifically, and would you
Ooh,
consider
another
making
numbers
any
question. I
other
like that they're
Social
making these
Security?
bitches do math.
Sure, and we have
It's
to deal with
Christie,
this
so it's a
problem.
bridge too
Now,
far.
If we raise the retirement age a few years for folks that are in their 30s and 40s.
Ooh.
I have a son who's in the audience tonight who's 30 years old.
Bullshit.
Okay.
If he can't adjust to a few-year increase in Social Security retirement age over the next 40 years, I got bigger problems with him than his Social Security payments.
When are you going to retire?
The fact is, we need to
Thanksgiving's
be
gonna be
realistic
awkward.
about this. There are only 3 things that go into determining whether Social Security can be solvent or not: retirement age, eligibility for the program in generel, and taxes. That's
And
it.
stealing
We
money
are
from the
already
Social Security
overtaxed in
fund
this
to pay
country, and we should
for a
not
lot
raise
of
those
tax
taxes.
breaks for
But on
extremely
eligibility
wealthy
also,
people.
I don't know.
And
if
we're not
out
gonna
there
stop doing
tonight, and
So
if you're
technically
watching
4,
Warren,
I guess 4.
I
Mostly
don't know
know if
just
Warren
that last
Buffett
one.
is collecting Social Security.
Yeah,
But if he
yeah,
is, shame
Matt
on
checks
you.
out on that, yeah.
You shouldn't be taking the money. There are a lot of programs in this country that we all pay for that we don't get a direct benefit from. Food stamps is one of them.
I've never, fortunately in my life, ever had me or my family on food stamps. But I'm glad it's there so that no one in this country goes to bed hungry at night if they have availability.
Is a Republican saying that people shouldn't go to bed hungry?
The fact is, on Social Security, remember why it was established.
No. He's going to get to that part. He's going to get to the part where they just need to go.
What dimension am I in right now?
They all need to get their quietus package and go ahead and deal with the problem themselves.
Can you give me a specific
bootstraps, guys.
Bootstraps.
That's going to be a power of negotiation with Congress.
Just make more money.
I'm not going to
Bootstraps.
start negotiating until I get there.
All right,
White disco bootstraps and Ron DeSantis.
Because you said in June that you would be open to raising the retirement age. Have you determined what that age would be specifically, and what other reforms are you looking at?
So first bootstraps are at his waist right now.
They're not going to take on entitlements is not being serious. Social Security will go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare will go bankrupt in 8. Right now you have Ron and Trump joining Biden and Pelosi saying they're not going to change or do any sort of entitlement reform. What we need to do is keep our promises. Those that have been promised should keep it. But for like my kids in their 20s, you go and you say we're going to change the rules. You change the retirement age. Instead of cost of living increases, we should go to increases based on inflation. We should limit benefits on the wealthy. Bernie Marcus can tell you he hates getting that check. Limit the benefits on the wealthy. And then expand Medicare
fucking
Advantage.
socialist over here.
I hope she has a lot of bulletproof shit going on.
That's how we'll deal with entitlement.
She ain't gonna make it to her car.
Pinko, call me a bitch over here saying we should.
Have you determined the age?
Again, you have to work
give
with
a bunch of money
Chris.
to
What
the
I can
women.
tell you is it's going to be those in their 20s just coming into the system, and it should reflect more of life expectancy. It doesn't do that now.
All right, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Goodness.
Have you determined if you would touch entitlements?
You know, it's been a while since we had an assassination in this country.
Yes.
I guess.
It's really important right now. We're working within the last window I believe we will have to actually fix this problem while still leaving Social Security and Medicare benefits for current seniors intact. I'll tell you how. The other candidates assume, like Nikki, that it can't be done. And on her math, she's right about it. But her math assumes $7 trillion of our $33 trillion national debt going to fight wars like in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Minus that, our national debt would be $26 trillion right now.
Oh my God.
That's
then you go to
still
zero-based budgeting, which
We have a Republican who wants to transfer money from the war and from the military to Social Security programs.
That's unheard of.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I mean, for the cost of a couple bombs, we could fund Social Security for decades.
In the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy. Shut down redundant agencies that should not exist. Deliver economic growth as a positive tailwind. I think we can get to 3, 4, maybe even 5% GDP growth if we really take the regulatory shackles off of our economy. And against that backdrop, I believe this is our last best window to be able to take care of our national debt problem through
Carry the
severe
two. Can you get a
measures,
submarine out of
including
it?
sacrificing the foreign wars that many bloodthirsty members of both parties have a hunger for. That's
Bloodthirsty.
the one secret for how we're going to be able to do this, and that
Nikki Haley
requires
is
discipline.
bloodthirsty for
So we
you.
can't have
She's a
the same conversation
vampire.
we're having, sending foreign aid willy-nilly to countries whose national debt per capita is less than ours.
Thank you,
But if we
Mr.
do this
Ramaswamy.
correctly, I think this is our last window, and it'll take a CEO from the next generation to
Do
do
we
it.
have
Thank you very much. Senator
point or just word?
I don't. He had a spreadsheet, I think.
Bottom line is a simple one.
Was
We
that
have
a
to grow
TikTok?
our economy and cut our spending.
It will be
Let me just
tomorrow.
say to my mama and to every other mama or grandfather
Oh, we're gonna
receiving
keep
Social
talking about
Security,
mama.
as President of the United States, I will protect your Social Security. The fact is that we're spending today about $1.1 trillion on Social Security, about $750 billion on Medicare, about $300 billion on Medicaid, about $400 billion on veterans benefits, $1.7 trillion on
Again, how many
annual
votes is that?
appropriations. If we're going to
can't keep up.
actually
You gotta have to
this
convert
It's the
this into
equivalent
votes.
of 17.5 hectares of football fields.
Who have paid into
How many
a
aircraft
program
carriers is
that
that?
deserve their money
which
coming
class?
back out to them. The way you deal with it is number one, you
Four?
have to grow your economy.
If I was going to sink a battleship, it would be a 4-peg investment
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm with you.
near
Okay.
the edge.
Thank you for converting
Number
that.
two, you have to cut taxes. When we cut taxes in 2017,
We're cutting
I led the
taxes
Tax Cuts and
to
Jobs
pay
Act.
for all this
Everybody
shit.
said, well, guess what? Revenue will go down. Well, in 2018, after we wrote it in 2017, what happened? Revenue went up by 3%, and the next year it went up by another 3%. So what we know is that the Laffer curve still works, but the lower the tax, the higher the revenue. And finally, if we're going to deal with it, we have to take our
Well, you didn't specify for how many people the revenue was higher.
Pre-2020, pre-COVID levels of spending, which will save us about $500 billion in the next budget window. By doing that, we deal with Social Security and our mandatory spending.
Thank you, Senator. Very quickly, would you raise the retirement age? Would you raise the retirement age, or do you rule that out?
All you have to do is go to a farm in Iowa and watch the hard work and the dedication.
Yes or
you
no,
and I having
Senator?
a conversation.
Yes or no?
The answer is no, but listen to this, though, before you go on.
The answer is no, but I'd like to talk about sheep for several minutes.
I want to say farm
your
in
labor,
Iowa.
A year or 2 or 3 more is actually challenging to the physical body. You and I might have a different perspective, but for those farmers, they're working night and day.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it. Governor DeSantis, finally to you.
Like
Would you be open to raising the retirement age, and how would you keep
He was
Social
real
Security
ready to wax
sustainable?
poetic about
Well, look,
farm
as governor
life.
of Florida, I know a few people on Social Security, and
No, you
I know it's
don't.
important.
No, you do not.
My grandmother lived till 91, and Social Security was her sole source of income, and that's
Where
true
the
for a
fuck
lot
were
of
you?
seniors throughout this country. So what I'd say to seniors at
Fine,
America, promise made, promise kept. I understand what you're going through with the rising prices, and you need that Social Security check. So we'll make sure to get that done. What can you do to help shore up Social Security? One of the things that's causing problems is the inflation. We have to reduce inflation. When you have higher inflation, the seniors get a cost of living adjustment, which means the program's spending more, but it doesn't cover the increase in the actual inflation rate. We also do need to get
So you
to
could
at
give
least
people
3%
more
growth.
money
You're never going to be
to
able to
cover
have issues, be able to solve the budget
I mean, it
without
seems
that.
like
But I
if
would note this. Congress for decades
They pay
took
people
money
more
from
than
Social Security.
contributions to
Social
Social
Security would
Security,
have
so
more
if pay
tax
was
revenue than it
also
put out.
reasonably
They would
tied to
take it and then they'd
inflation.
write an IOU to Social Security. Congress has
These
a
are all
lot of
just
dirty
ideas.
hands on this.
Crazy
Force
idea.
Congress to stop spending so much
Fund
money.
a program
And you know, one thing we have to talk
that
about
benefits
retirement
the
age is something that's changed in the last
poors?
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Life expectancy in the
Blech.
United States
Not
is declining
So, Governor,
in this
yes
country.
or no? Would you raise it? Would you raise the retirement age?
I love
life
this moderator.
expectancy is declining,
She's like, fuck
I
you,
don't see
answer
how
the
you
goddamn
could raise it
question,
the other direction.
son of
So
a
it's one
bitch.
thing to peg it on life expectancy, but we have
I
had a
will
significant
Venmo
decline
her
in life expectancy in this country. and that's the fact.
$17.33 right now if
Honestly,
she
yes.
asks.
Thank you, candidates,
Honestly,
and
we
we
should.
will be right back after a quick break. from
Okay, we're
Miami,
taking
Florida.
another quick break. Okay, guys, hang in there. We have half an hour left of this debate. You're all doing great. I'm proud of every single one of you. Let's see. We're gonna make ourselves bigger.
Yeah.
Wow.
How you feeling? Are you okay? I'm checking in with you on a human level. Are you gonna be all right?
I'm a little bit nauseous. I'm a lot hopeless. I am verklempt, I believe is
That's a good
is
one,
it?
yeah.
How about you? How are you doing?
I don't know for sure that I've decided to cast my vote for any of the people on this stage.
Really?
tonight.
That's a surprise.
Yeah. I am dead certain that will not be an issue in the next election.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Anybody who you are 10,000% not voting for.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah. That's correct.
Yeah.
Of those people,
Oh,
who are
shit.
you not voting for the most?
All right, that Mike Pence looking moderator.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what that is. but
He's
it's
problematic. His voice is weird. His hair is a helmet.
He's like the third sequel to Mannequin,
Yeah.
where they just ran out of ideas and all they had left was an actor. I don't fully support him for president.
His junk is just a kind of a bulge with no definition in it at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
On that note, I would actually consider a serious run by Ron DeSantis's Disco Mud Boots, because they do share a lot of my values.
Hot.
Super hot.
Sexy.
Oh my god.
Tall.
Oh, so dreamy.
Goes with any outfit.
They've got the dance.
They have the dance.
Uh-huh.
Guys, if you have not taken a dance break in the middle of this debate yet, that is a mistake that can be rectified right now. You should definitely stand up and dance for at least 2 minutes while this commercial shit is going on.
You'll feel better about yourself.
Yes. Refresh your beverage. Slam that down really quickly. Get another beverage right after that. These are all good things to do right now. All good things to do. Yeah. We're getting like a little Dow Jones market report, which I don't know if we need that. What I really need is a boat report. I really need more numbers about boats.
Well,
that is my one request, and Hugh Hewitt and I can absolutely agree that we want to count more boats. So
100% of America's sickest boats are all underwater. They are submarines. It's this new thing. They are badass.
They're low.
Let me tell you.
Under the surface. They go one little...
Like a Russian Sean Connery would captain the fuck out of that.
Yes, there is some hunt for Red October shit
Get a
going
Baldwin
down.
in there.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Some things in here don't react well to Butch. And we're all just fucking loving it. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let's go to the chat for a second while we are waiting for this
Oh.
delightful spectacle to come back online.
Chatterbots, tell us what you got. How you doing? Is it that bad?
Super F-bomb. The Ramaswamy notes are, again, so good.
Hashtag that immediately.
And also this idea that we make more money instead of cutting entitlement programs. Darndest thing. Oh shit, they're coming back. Okay. Ray Wood.
Why?
Ray Wood, I believe with you. I don't believe a word any of them said. Actually, that is correct. Invisible Chicken says, I'm taking a lunch break instead of a dance break. I have bubble tea. Good for you.
If you'll just pour that into your phone or laptop or tablet so that we can have some too. The boba you'll have to shove.
That'll be good. All right, let's dive back in here.
Illegally last year. It can mean more than 150 arrests of people on the terror watch list. It can mean the burden on states from having migrants move into their states from the southwestern border. But I want to talk about opioids specifically and fentanyl. I'll start with you, Senator Scott. Tens of thousands of Americans' families have suffered a death to fentanyl. Young people sometimes die taking one pill. What can you do as Commander-in-Chief on the first day to stop fentanyl and the waterfall of it into this country?
He's saying it really weird.
We should close our southern border for $10 billion.
Yeah, because that's where the fentanyl doesn't come in.
For an additional $5 billion.
You know, it comes into ports like the ones in, I don't know, Miami.
Technology to surveil our southern border,
New
to stop
Jersey.
fentanyl from crossing our border. I've already led on legislation that is sanction the Mexican cartels. If you remember the
we got to Mexico eventually.
Then they are manufactured in Mexican labs, and then the Mexican cartels bring them across our border. By sanctioning their accounts and eliminating their cash, we starve them with what they need, number one. Closing our southern border makes it nearly impossible to get in. The military-grade technology is a backup, making sure that we not only stop 70,000 deaths in the last 12 months because of fentanyl, it also allows us to deal with the human trafficking travesty that is entering in our country.
A lot of the fentanyl that comes across the border is in the form of humans.
Effectively with 100,000
I just want to say, as a Texan
in our country and the 70,000 that is
who lives
directly
on
linked
that
to fentanyl,
southern border, a few hours away from it, you know what else comes across the southern border?
Southern border. If
food.
we do that effectively,
workers,
we have started
extraordinary people, wonderful human beings,
people who build things,
families,
people who have restaurants here, the best fucking restaurants you've ever eaten at in your entire fucking life.
No idea.
Industrious people who start businesses. Okay, so if you want to totally shut down that border, think about what you're keeping out. Like, yeah, we got to do something about fentanyl, but do you want lettuce to exist anymore? Because we don't make enough of it. Mexico is making it all.
I can see limiting the number of frat boys we allowed back in.
That's fair.
That would definitely reduce the amount of fentanyl.
Yes.
We have to beef up what our law enforcement has in terms of technology.
Invisible Chicken, you make a good
as
point.
president. We need to make sure that law enforcement has every tool at its disposal to do it. Secondly, on day one, I would sign an executive order that would send the National Guard to partner
with Customs and Border Patrol, both at ports of entry and at the open ports of our border. Customs and Border Patrol agents are overwhelmed. There's 200,000 encounters a
partner
month
these two groups together
over
to
the last
overwhelm their
11
bathrooms.
months.
Yes.
We simply do not have the man and woman power at the border to
Man
be able to
and
deal
woman
with it.
power.
And so
How
dealing with
inclusive.
law
Very
enforcement
nice.
Look at
and
this.
we have
bitch.
done this, we can do this, but we got to give them the tools to do it, and technology is one of the biggest tools that we don't have enough of at the ports of
iPads.
entry.
With TikTok.
Now, we also need to lower demand
Oh, you can do the dance.
in this
God
country.
forbid it's TikTok.
And the way to lower demand is to start treating people again. You know, we started to do this before COVID, and we haven't done enough of it. And for every family out there
Well,
tonight
after COVID started,
has
we
lost
decided
a loved
not to
one
treat people because that
to
was
fentanyl or to any
harming.
other type of opioid overdose,
Right.
what you know is all you
So we
want
had to put a mask
is a
on.
chance
That's
for them
not
to
good.
win their lives back.
It
When I'm
made
president of the United
kids stop
States, we're going to call this what it is. It is a disease, like heart disease, diabetes,
No, it's
or
not. It's
any
drugs.
other disease like cancer
Addiction
that
is
can
a
be
disease,
treated,
but
should be
drugs are
treated.
famous.
We not only have to stop supply, but we have to lower demand and save
Thank you,
lives.
Governor DeSantis.
That's a poorly thought out argument, and I respect you for making it. But
Yeah.
you look like
The
you're
United
trying
States
really hard to
Special
fart right
Forces to
now.
attack
Good
the
job.
cartels where
Not
they
as hard as
manufacture
DeSantis
the
is.
chemicals that come from
You're about to
China.
ask him a
How
question.
often-
Let's see
cannot
what.
fart in those boots.
What does that look like?
It'll come right off.
Well, first, I was speaking to a dad who
No, you
lost
weren't.
his son to
The
fentanyl
imaginary
overdose.
dad.
Son wasn't a drug addict. He had taken some pill
What
that happened to be
expression
laced with fentanyl,
Hunger?
and it was a fatal overdose. And when he told
bet this
me,
is boring.
obviously the pain of losing a child is as bad as it gets, but he said what was salt in the wounds is that these elites in D.C. don't give a damn about what's going on in this country. They don't care that
Andrew,
we have
it's the
tens of
elites
thousands
in
of
Miami
opioid deaths
who
that the
care.
fentanyl's
That's right.
pouring in. They are not
Those are the
taking the
ones
type
we're
of
there
action
for.
The
we need to.
elites in
We're
Miami
declaring it a
who
national emergency on day
happen to
one.
be
I'm
drug
sending
kingpins.
U.S. military to the border. I'm going to stop the invasion cold. I am going to deport people who came illegally. And I'm even going to build the border wall and have Mexico pay for it like Donald Trump promised.
Wait,
How
the
are you going to do it?
Miami
Mexico's
border
not gonna
wall?
pour over money.
Florida
You're gonna
border
impose
wall?
fees on the
Keep out those
remittances that foreign
Louisiana-
workers send to foreign
Your
countries.
border
We'll
is
raise
a
billions of
fucking
dollars.
ocean.
I'll build the wall. But we are going to designate the cartels to be foreign terrorist
Maybe
organizations
he
or
means,
something
a
similar to that.
coral reef.
And we're going to authorize the use of
No,
deadly
he would not
force.
build a coral
We're going to have
reef.
maritime
No, he would bomb a
operations
coral
to
reef.
interdict
Yeah.
precursor chemicals
Too many
going into
goddamn
Mexico.
fish down
But I'll
there.
tell you this, if someone in the drug
Maybe it's all
cartels
those
is
goddamn
sneaking
fish.
fentanyl across the border when I'm president, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to shoot them stone cold dead.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
oh, we'll just shoot people.
Sure. Yeah,
And the
extrajudicial
audience goes
execution.
wild for
The
shooting
United
people in the
States uses
face.
Special
All
forces in
right.
Mexico without
Good job,
prior
humanity.
notice to the Mexican allies.
We're
to our
fine
south. What
as
would
a
your
country.
colleagues at the
There's
United
no
Nations
fire
think
here.
about that?
I don't care what my colleagues at the United Nations think. What I'll tell you is,
It's not the first time she said that.
first of all, you have to go to the source. We have lost more Americans than the Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq wars combined. We lost 75,000 Americans last year. Go to the source. It is the reason why we'll continue to say we will end all normal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans. You watch how quick that flow stops.
I don't-
The second thing is we'll send
Okay, I
special
feel like
operations
Vivek
in to
Ramaswamy
take
just
out the
answered the question. I don't
cartels.
know what the fuck
We
she's
need to
talking
go to
about.
where
This is
they're
about
distributing
fentanyl?
it, where the supply
She's going
centers
to no
are,
longer
and take
trade
them
with
out.
China,
We'll put
which is a thing that
25,000
could
more Border Patrol and
conceivably
ICE agents
happen.
on the ground and let
she
them
invoked
do
the
their
Vietnam
job.
War
We
for
will
some reason.
defund
Well, yeah, the
sanctuary
numbers
cities.
of
We will
the
go
dead
back
in
to
the
the Remain
Vietnam
in
War and
Mexico
every other
policy so
war
that everybody stays in
are
Mexico and
also
they never
numbers
get here
like
in
the
the
number
first
of
place. And instead of
people
catch and
killed
deport, we'll go to catch and release.
by
I'm sorry,
China
instead of catch
trade.
and release, we'll go to catch and deport. That is the way we'll deal with the border. Those are the things that we
don't
have
have
to
a
do
border
going
with
forward. But I
China.
do agree with Chris. One of the first things that we have to do
I think I know why
is
she's
really
not an
focus
ambassador
on mental
anymore.
health and addiction
And I think it's a
centers.
very good
It is
thing.
something that is needed in our country terribly because we don't deal with mental health. And someone who doesn't get care for mental health falls into addiction. And we owe it to them to treat it like the cancer that it is.
Okay, so could anybody fucking have a plan for mental health? You keep talking about mental health. What is your
One
plan
thing
to
I
deal
just
with
wanna say
mental
now
health?
we're talking about this
How many
Border.
votes will it
in
cost
Lebanon,
us?
I've actually met
China.
many parents across this country who have lost their kids to
Reagan.
laced pharmaceuticals that have fentanyl in them. The only thing I would ask, Ron, I think you'd be on the same page with me on this. Let's not even call that an overdose.
Right.
That is not an overdose. That is poisoning. If you put that fentanyl in a
Kinda
Big
like an
Mac,
overdose.
we would not call that an overdose. You'd call it what it is. It's closer to bioterrorism. And I say that because as it uniquely
No,
relates to this
terrorism
crisis,
implies a
that
political
does
aim.
warrant more aggressive means to deal with it. So there's a new presidential election in Mexico in 2024. People may not be aware of that. It's going to be someone other than Obrador, who has been a disaster in Mexico. I think he's even mentioned me obliquely in speeches to say that somebody who would do this shouldn't get anywhere near the White House. Well, AMLO, get out of the way. There's going to be someone else in charge. I hope to build a good relationship with that next president of Mexico. We'll use our own military to seal our own southern border. What we need to do is stop using our military to protect somebody else's border halfway around the world when we're short right here at home. Get serious about protecting this border. And then the other thing that hasn't been discussed is the northern border. I'm the only candidate on the stage, as far as I'm aware, who has actually visited the
Mexico because
there was
Canadians
enough
are white.
fentanyl that was captured just on the northern border last year to kill 3 million Americans. So we got to just stick to where the puck is going, not just where the puck is. Don't just build the wall, build both walls. Can't just complete the wall, use the military to seal the Swiss cheese for the tunnels that they're actually building underneath that wall.
Ooh, we're doing tunnels.
Actually get this job done.
Wait, they had Swiss cheese in the tunnels? I love Swiss cheese. It's amazing on sandwiches.
They made some paninis down there.
Abortion rights supporters saw victories in
Sons of
Ohio and
bitches aren't
Virginia,
sharing their sandwiches
following
with us?
earlier wins in states like Kansas and Kentucky. Governor
Those are
DeSantis,
very
first
middle of
to
the
you,
U.S.
how do you see
flyovers.
the path
Funny
forward
they should
for
get them.
Republicans on this
Fly
issue?
through them if they're like Swiss
Well, I
cheese.
stand for a culture of life, and I understand that it's important that everyone gets a shot. I'm reminded of a story about
I thought you didn't
a
want
young
people to get
mother
a
who was
shot, Ron.
struggling in Jamaica about 40 years ago, 45 years
Oh,
ago.
yeah, he's
She
for
was
that.
counseled to not have a baby because she was poor, baby wouldn't have opportunity, and she came close to have an abortion, but she decided to have the baby, born poor in Jamaica. And the reason I know that story is because that baby girl ended up immigrating to the state of Florida, becoming a lawyer and a judge.
You would have kept
and
her
I
out.
appointed her to the Florida Supreme Court in August of 2022. We're better off when everybody counts. We're better off.
Do
when
not
we can
even
promote a
begin to
culture of
act
life.
like you are
At the same
pro-immigrant,
time,
Ron.
I understand that some of these
Your whole
states are
deal
doing
is
it a
let's
little bit different.
took that
Texas is not
Jamaican
gonna
on a
do it the
bus and
same
send
as
him
New
to Martha's
Hampshire.
Vineyard.
Iowa's not necessarily going to do it the same as Virginia.
That was before
So you
he was
got to
in
work
charge.
from the
He would've
bottom
shipped
up.
her that.
You got to do a
Yeah.
better job on these referenda. I think of all the stuff that's happened to the
Referenda?
Referenda?
they have been caught flat-footed with these
pinky's
referenda,
out,
and
Ron.
they've been losing the referenda.
Oh.
A lot of the people who are voting for the referenda are Republicans who would vote for a Republican candidate. So you got to understand how to do that. But let's just be clear. The Democrats have taken a position they will not identify the point at which there should be any protection all the way up until birth. That is wrong, and we cannot stand for that.
All right, Governor DeSantis,
Protections
thank you. Ambassador Haley,
should
let me have you
end
weigh in.
at
Former
birth.
President Trump has
Yes.
consistently
Damn it.
Abruptly.
blamed the abortion issue,
Wildly,
Suddenly.
candidates
viciously,
talked about it for their electoral
immorally.
process. How do you see
You should
the
throw
path
women
forward?
and
I've
children
said
to
it
the
before. I think you have
wolves
to be
the
honest with
second
the
they come
American
out.
people.
Christian
This is a
wolves,
personal issue for every
God-fearing.
woman and every man.
Yes.
I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party
Oh,
tells
wow.
me to be, but because my husband Michael was
Tim
adopted
Scott is
and I had
currently
trouble having
leading
both of my
in
children, so I'm
most
surrounded by
speaking
blessings.
time.
Having said that, when you look
Can't be right.
I challenge
post-vote,
anyone in the
was
comments
people,
right now
they
to
took it
remember
out of the
anything
hands of
Tim
unelected
Scott has
justices
said.
And they
No.
put it in the hands of the people. And
Can't
now
do it.
we're seeing states vote. And what I'll tell you is, as
You
much
didn't
as
say
I'm
submarines.
pro-life, I don't
That's
judge
a hint.
anyone for being pro-choice, and I don't want them to judge me for being pro-life. So when we're looking at this, there's some states that are going more on the pro-life side. I welcome that. There's some states that are going more on the pro-choice side. I wish that wasn't the case, but the people decided. But when it comes to the
people
federal
decided,
law,
so
which
we
is what's
left it
being
up to the
debated
states
here,
to take it
be
away from the
honest, it's
federal
gonna take
government who left
60
it up to the people.
Senate
Right.
votes, a majority of the House, and a president to sign it.
Out of
So
respect.
no, we haven't had 60 Senate votes in over 100 years. We might have 45 pro-life senators. So no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president can ban these state laws. So let's find consensus.
I mean, not according
Let's
to the
agree
Supreme
on how
Yeah.
we can ban late-term abortions. Let's make sure we encourage adoptions and good quality adoptions.
What if
Let's
we
make
let
sure we make contraception
mother
accessible.
and
Let's
doctors
make sure that none of these state laws
and
put a
then
woman in
just
jail or give
skip
her a death
every other
penalty for
argument
getting an
after that.
abortion.
The fuck do they
Let's
know?
focus on how to
They are
save
not
as many
involved in this
babies as we
process.
can and
They
support
didn't
as
even
many
vote.
moms as we can, and stop the judgment. We don't need to divide America over this issue anymore.
Thank you.
No, we've already done it.
Yeah. no.
Pretty successful in that one.
Yeah,
And
mission accomplished.
America fucking voted for pro-choice.
Yes.
I'd like you
Over
to
and
say,
over again.
How do you see the
You remember
path forward?
yesterday?
What do you make of what Ambassador Haley just said? Do you see this as a consensus issue?
Well, I'm 100% pro-life. I have had 100% pro-life voting record. I would certainly, as President of the United States, have a 15-week national limit. I would not allow states like California, Illinois, or New York to have abortion up until the day of birth. I certainly wouldn't allow former governor, Democratic governor of Virginia, who talked about infanticide.
No one wants to abort their baby the day before they give birth. That's not a fucking thing.
That is not the Republican argument. Be fair. You are making up their argument. The Republicans are saying people want to abort their baby well after birth.
Nikki and Ron
all right?
To join me at a
don't straw man their shit. They've done it themselves.
I fucking hate that argument. I'm sorry for not being comedic for a minute, but as a person who has given birth to a couple of people, you don't get to the day before and go, you know what? I don't think so. That's not a fucking thing. That is not a fucking thing. Let me assure you that no one is doing that.
As a man, can I just shut up for a second?
I would invite that.
There are a number of ways that we can say to the expected mother.
I may have my opinions, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep that to myself for right now. If that's all right with you.
That would, I guess, be okay with that.
Okay, I'm going to not vote on anything other than you can make up your own mind.
Yes. As it turns out, women are not fucking monsters.
But you have to be honest with the American people, and I appreciate that Tim keeps calling me out for this. But Tim, there was a bill last year. Lindsey Graham sponsored it. You didn't even co-sponsor the bill. And then when you first were interviewed on this,
co-sponsor?
you wouldn't even say you
going after Tim Scott.
What I'm saying to the American people is, let's see what we can agree on. Let's bring people together and decide what we can agree on. I will sign anything where we can get 60 Senate votes, but don't make the American people think that you're going to push something on them when we don't even have the votes in the Senate. It's important that we're honest about that.
Let me go to Mr. Ramaswamy. Would you support a 15-week referendum? What is the path forward on this?
I just want to say a minute that Nikki Haley didn't vote being honest. And I just want to give credit to Tim Scott. He's honest about where he stood. And I think you should be honest, not making a political calculus, but to say, if a bill is served up, would you sign it? Here's my view on this. Speaking as a man, they say men have trouble speaking on this issue. I don't think we need to be that way. Yeah. It was my home state of Ohio. I'm upset about this yesterday. That passed a constitutional amendment that now effectively codifies a right to
They're not upset about it.
Without parental consent.
He's upset that people chose in a democracy for themselves.
An alternative
that tracks with him.
On the table. I know Ohio. I was born, raised, and I lived there. It's representative of the country. If in the state of Ohio we talked about access to contraception, adoption, and also here's the missing ingredient in this movement: sexual responsibility for men. We live in an era of
regulated. I'm willing to see those laws.
That are 100%
chastity belts for dudes is what I'm hearing him say.
So we can tell women.
Is that what's happening?
If tampons are taxed, then I don't see why dudes can't have mandatory chastity belts.
And I come back to that case that Clarence Thomas.
Vivek Ramaswamy wants you to have a chastity belt. Just want to throw that out there.
Assaulted. The unborn child dies in that assault. You find me one person in this country who says that that criminal does not deserve liability for that death. You won't find one. That says we share the same instincts on this issue, but we require, I believe, a different generation of leadership to actually lead us forward and unite the country on this.
Thank you.
Honesty.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Right.
But he was a dude.
Sure.
The dude. And the person that died was a woman, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Misdemeanor. I think it's a mail-in fine. Like
conservative lawyers have been arguing that the federal government should have absolutely nothing to do with this issue constitutionally because it's nowhere in the Constitution. And then Dobbs comes and we finally gain that victory, which was the creation of a constitutional right out of thin air that didn't exist. And
that's how all constitutional rights
let's short
came to
circuit
exist.
the states from doing what
like
they
when somebody
need
says
to
it's
do.
a fake holiday.
Right
They're all fake.
Yeah. They weren't
weeks.
until they were.
Yeah. Stage them all over the place. 20 weeks, 15 weeks, 12, 6. Look, the Frowners were really smart. And this is an issue that should be decided in each state.
How about the individual?
I trust the people of this country.
Yeah.
Individual.
If you like breaking things down into smaller decision bases, then the individual level is pretty tough to beat.
He is really against high-level tyranny. He wants more local tyranny.
Sure. Don't we all?
But that is what the people of our state have voted for. And we should not short circuit that process until every state's people have the right to weigh in on it. But here's the bigger issue, Kirsten. The bigger issue is, and Tim began to touch on this, we're not pro-life for the whole life. To be pro-life for the whole life means that the life of a 16-year-old drug addict on the floor of the county lockup is precious, and we should get treatment for her to restore her life. The 52-year-old who's drug addicted should make sure that any of his children who he's passed that addiction on to are treated well too. Pro-life's not just in the womb, Kirsten. It's for the whole life.
All right, Governor, thank you.
We're not voting on that.
We're going to take a final break, and when we come back, we'll hear from all of you with their closing statements. This is the NBC
Guys,
News Republican presidential.
You're doing great. We are we're making progress here. We're almost to the end. Hang in there with us. You're doing great. Let's
a quick thank you to everybody who has joined us for all of this. I know you had choices in how you rot your brain tonight, and I'm glad you are rotting it with us.
You guys do not know how much we love you. Like you're so great.
You don't respond to our voicemails or text messages. You keep blocking us on Facebook.
No,
we're still outside your house.
Truly, we love being here with you guys. If I may wax
wax on.
Sincere for
wax
a minute. Hate to do it, gotta do it. The whole reason that we do what we do is because I think I can speak for you here as well as me.
And if you want to do a little hand puppet while you do it, I would not be. There we go.
But I think I can speak for both of us and our entire writing staff when I say we've been through some shit.
Yeah.
Word. And the thing that helps us get through the shit is comedy. And so that is why we do what we do. And so watching this debate, if we were just watching the debate just by ourselves alone on the couch, just not feeling good about the state of the world, that would be pretty fucking depressing, right?
If I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying. And, you know, we the lucky ones of us got through COVID.
Yeah.
Lucky, I use that word very loosely in this sense, but I'm due for some comedy.
Yeah. And I think the fact that we all get to come together and laugh at this spectacle of insanity and weirdness and opposition to logic helps make that load a little bit easier to carry. So
very much so. And the fact that we get to do it as, in our own way, a little micro community. I mean, Roy, thank you for being here. Invisible Chicken.
Yes.
I am mad at myself for not stealing your name before you ever came up with it. That's just so fucking funny.
Yes. John, Nicole, Doc is here. Hello,
Doc! Doc! Why are you here?
Aussie Aquatic has been here earlier. Just everybody that has joined in the chat is we love the fact that you're here. This we just started doing live streaming like a month or so ago. It hasn't been that long. Yeah. You can tell by the quality of the stream that you're receiving.
Susie Q.
Susie U, yes. We love you. It's you know, we're still doing this, but the nicest surprise about doing the live streams has been the interaction with you guys. So that's I would have to say that that's my favorite part. It's really fun getting to talk to you guys instead of just like putting something out there and then you watch it and then you make comments and I see them later, and you know, this way we get to kind of have a conversation. I really love that.
I like the part where I'm watching the live feed with everyone else here, and I got the comments over here, and I'm doing whatever the opposite of cross-eyed is.
Yeah.
And I love it. I learned a new talent, and I am in so much pain.
Yeah,
so much.
His eyes are like the people at that Bored Ape music festival. We'll talk more about that on the show Friday. Paul is an OG. Paul has been here the whole time. Thank you, Paul, for being here with us. Okay, We're going to get back into the debate now. Guys, we only have 8 more minutes. You hang in there. We're doing great. We're going to do a little recap afterwards. Hugh Hewitt is about to say some weird shit. Let's see what he says.
We know there are other major issues that are important to Republican primary voters. I'll ask you each to please use your closing statement to focus on any topic you didn't have time to address and why you and not former President Trump would be the party's best choice to tackle these important issues. You each have a minute. Senator Scott, we'll start with you. 1 minute.
There's a crisis that is growing in our nation, and that crisis is cultural and spiritual.
No, it's having
We need a renewal, a great awakening. We should reject the left's valueless, faithless, fatherless society. We should turn back to faith, patriotism, and individual responsibility. We should stop choosing victimhood and start choosing victory. We should stop kneeling in protest and start kneeling in prayer. There are basic truths that built this country. If you're able-bodied in America,
this has
you
the
work.
same fundamental logical flaws as that song isn't an ironic.
If you commit a violent crime,
and that
you go to
failed
jail.
to understand
and if
the
God
assignment.
made you a man, you play sports against men. I do not just want to...
Audience, please.
That's his problem?
I do not just want to win the battle against Joe Biden. I want us together to win the war. The war for our Christian conservative values.
Which war? There's like 4 wars.
The Christian conservative values war, where not everyone is that.
I thought it was Ukraine or Israel or Azerbaijan.
No, the important one, where his beliefs are the right
gift. The gift to be an American. And I'm running for president of the United States because I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing the division. I'm tired of seeing the anger. And I can see in the eyes of Americans their exhaustion. Their exhaustion from the petty, personal politics that have taken over this country over the last number of years. I'm running for president to be a president of consequence, to do the big things, to make sure that America's role in the world stays number 1, that we stand up for our friends and allies around the world, and we stand up for what we believe in right here at home.
Which is
and it's
whatever.
not to eliminate our differences. Our differences has always been our strength as a country.
So we should eliminate the differences.
But you can't truly say you love America unless you're ready to open up your heart to every American. I'm going to open up my heart to every American as president, and I will make sure that I return honesty, integrity to the Oval Office. We deserve and should accept nothing less.
Governor, thank you very much. Let's go to...
Thank you, the right word here, honestly. I don't think we're saying thank you to that.
We've talked a lot about foreign wars tonight, but we're in the middle of a war right here at home. It's a war not between black and white or Democrat and Republican. It's between those of us who believe in our founding ideals and love this country and a fringe minority who hates the United States of America. And I think it's going to take a commander-in-chief to lead us to victory in that war, who first of all knows that we're in a war. Second of all, can't be captured by special interests along the way. But third is from the next generation, somebody with fresh legs to lead us to victory. I'll shut down the deep state.
I mean, Ron's legs are looking pretty fucking fresh these days.
World War III, and then revive national pride in this country. I also want to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now.
I don't think he's
so we
really
can
up
see
on
whether
modern
it's
politics. I think he might have
just tell us the
failed
truth
that
so we can have an honest debate.
Ambassador Haley, you have 1 minute for your closing.
Thank you. The world is on fire. We have a war in Europe. We've got a war in the Middle East. We've got China on the march. It is very important that we know how to defend our freedoms and how to defeat terrorism and socialism. We have to know the difference between good and evil. We have to know the difference between right and wrong. We need to know that a strong America doesn't start wars, a strong America prevents wars. And the way we can focus on that is to make sure we go back to the soul of America and be strong and proud again. And we can't do that. We can't win the fights of the 21st century with politicians from the 20th century. We have to move forward. And we can do this. I know we can do this. So join our movement. Go to NikkiHaley.com, and we will once again show what America that's strong and
proud. That's a lot of words to say absolutely nothing. I kept waiting for the predicate on that sentence, and it never showed up.
Governor DeSantis, you're closing. You have 1 minute.
Yeah.
We must reverse our country's decline, and that is going to require leadership. I will take the hits, I will take the arrows, I will take the barbs, because it's not about me, it's about you. It's not about the past, it's about your future. We are going to fight for you. I am going to win for you and your family, and I'm going to lead this country's revival. As a veteran of the Iraq War and in the Navy,
I will always
put service
I have
above
heard
self
something about
as
that,
president.
yes.
As the father of 3 young kids, I'm going to ensure that this country is
I heard
left
he
to the
protected
next
a lot of
generation
America's
in
urine
better
sacs.
shape than we found it. And as the governor of Florida, I delivered on all my promises. And you can trust me to deliver for you as the president of the United States. I am asking for your vote.
Yeah, that's
I'll be a
not very
nominee that will be able to win the election.
Yes.
I will be a leader you can be proud of. And as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you.
He doesn't have to wait to be president to let us down.
Did you see his weird little
No,
smile?
was it creepy? Do it.
It's like, it's like it's not like a way that your teeth would be arranged.
The next line says, if the audience can hold their applause. That didn't work out. But anyway, for just a few more seconds, I'll ask you to just hold the applause. On behalf of my fellow moderators, I want to thank the candidates for their time and for this spirited debate. Really good, deep conversation, and we appreciate you all being here. Thank you as well to our wonderful hosts here at the Adrian Arce Performing Arts Center. On behalf of the Republican National Committee and all of us at NBC News, good night, everyone, from Miami.
Well, now that it's over, it might be a good night.
Okay. Yeah, night's looking up.
Yeah.
All right.
I like a good morality play. I do.
Whew. Guys, let me just say how proud of you I am. You made it through this whole entire spectacle. Fuck, let's drink.
You could have been doing anything tonight, and you chose to be doing this. Make better choices.
Yeah, and I am addressing that to us, too.
Oh my God, yes. I have had to pee for the last hour and a half. And some part of me just said, no, hang through it. Just keep going.
Okay.
And I was wrong.
We got a little bit longer because we need to do a recap on this debate.
Yes.
So just hold it in.
Okay.
Pitch it.
I'm squeezing. Kegel. I can kegel over 50 pounds.
I bet Mike Johnson can too because he's been practicing because his porn app will not let him do otherwise. Okay, that was really something.
Wasn't it though? That's a wonderful euphemism.
Well, I've been spending a lot of time talking to Matt, who is British, so I've mastered the art of euphemism. Okay, I want to hear in the chat. I want to hear what you guys think.
Yes.
Who's the biggest winner? Who's the biggest loser? And then we're going to talk about some key moments from the debate. As you guys are putting your answers into the chat of who's the biggest winner, who's the biggest loser, I'm going to go over to this guy because he's sitting right next to me.
That's me.
Austin Dotson. Who
Right
do you
here.
think was the biggest winner of this debate?
Donald Trump. For not getting, he got mentioned twice, and then they all just ignored that not a fucking one of them will be a candidate for president in the next election. And Donald Trump skated by, I'm going to say it again, without ever, he got a mention, and then they were like, ooh, who?
Yeah, honestly, that's a really good point. They did not go overly hard after Donald Trump. I mean, even Chris Christie was not bashing him the way that he normally does. There were a couple of little jabs at him, but mostly they were all jabbing at each other.
From Christie apparently going after Donald Trump again on this. The final debate was a bridge too far.
Now, I hate to say this, that there actually is another debate scheduled.
What the hell?
Why would we do this again?
Why was there this debate? There's another debate. Who's in it? Anyone?
We don't know yet.
Why have they scheduled another debate? Why did they schedule this or the last two debates?
Listen.
Can we cover it live?
Sure. Yes.
I mean, wait, shit. Damn it.
That means we have to...
Now it's on me.
I know. Okay, what about the biggest loser?
Raise your hand.
Yeah. I don't feel like a winner right now.
No, although your vodka is delicious. And by vodka, I mean water, which I'm pretty sure is a derivative of a word for water.
Definitely vodka. We can't get through this without something a little strong. No, the biggest winner in terms of the people who were actually at the debate.
I am curious to hear what you have to say, because I have a hard time thinking about any of them in that context.
Yeah, no, victory is really hard to swallow and kind of makes your throat sort of...
I'm going to write a name down.
Okay.
And I want you to say your answer, and then I'm gonna turn my little pencil written thing to the camera, and no one will be able to read it, because that's the way these things work. Go ahead.
Sure.
What do you got?
I think actually Nikki Haley, although she didn't have a killer moment. Oh, we agree.
Yep, it was totally Nikki.
She didn't have like a knockdown, drag out, yank Ron DeSantis' spine out sort of moment, but she did have a lot of really good moments. I think it's actually really effective when she rolls her eyes at other people and treats them like they are fucking children.
You know what else she didn't have? A moment where she came across as batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Like every other person on that stage managed to get to.
Now, to be fair, I don't think Chris Christie came off as batshit crazy.
He started that way for me.
Well, there's that. Vivek Ramaswamy... the most batshit. Tim Scott, I don't know what he was doing over there. He seemed like he was kind of wandering around in a corner.
He showed up. That was batshit crazy for him. He should not have done that. It ruined his chances.
Yeah. And the talking and the saying things was also not maybe working out for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Ron DeSantis, a little nutty, but in like a very expected way. He didn't say anything that I didn't see coming.
He performed the animatronic functions that his programmers intended for him. In a way, I almost kind of want to see him as a president now, because they can just take the real person and put him in that Disney Hall of Presidents with zero change-up. And he will be just as awkward and lifeless, small worlding it up in there.
Right. The exact same energy as a wax figurine at Madame Tussauds.
His presidential portrait will be a Funko Pop.
Yes. Not a fan of his. I can't get over how weird his face is. The facial expressions are so upsetting to me, because he says something and he's in the middle of saying something and you're like, okay, and then he stops and he does the face.
Well, they didn't spend the money to get the Jim Henson people to animate and make the puppet, and that really shows.
Yeah, they need Kermit the Frog's people to come over right away and work on some more realistic facial expressions. Maybe if they stapled some felt to his face.
Oh, he'd look so much more human that way.
We should try that.
It would humanize him. Ronnie, baby, calf boy.
Yeah.
Sweetheart.
Yeah.
Get some felt.
You are standing on the shoulders of giants, and by giants I mean the lifts inside of your shoes. But now that we can see the top of you so well, we need to work on this face, okay?
All right.
The feet covered. Up here, no.
Let's get that covered too.
We got to do something about that, yeah.
Cover it.
Yeah. Full coverage.
What's going on in the chat? Are we getting all the answers up there?
So let's see. We have...
Ooh, there have been some answers.
Ray says that his candidate bingo box for Drain the Swamp isn't filled yet. So true. Mm-hmm. Ray also wants Ronnie to stay away from his books. Me too.
Ronnie's going to stay away from your books, Ray. He doesn't go near those. They're filled with commie words.
If he has anything to say about it, the only book you'll have is the King James version of the Bible. Not any other versions. Those are communist. So let's see.
That's documented well in the King James version of the Bible.
Invisible Chicken says, They were thinking about the same thing about Nikki. What's she going to do to actually achieve anything? Fair. Great debater. Actual governor? Probably not so much.
But again, that is the Republican, thing.
Yeah.
Get elected.
Yeah.
Do as little as possible. A lot of talking.
Sure. Figure it out on the back
Not a lot of
end.
governance.
Yeah. They are not a fan of governing.
Well,
Invisible Chicken also says, Ron, you have made me side with Disney. You have already failed. I know. No one wants to be like a big Disney fan, right?
okay. I'm going to come to Disney's defense on this one.
Oh.
They have the distribution in the West of all the Miyazaki films, of all the Studio Ghibli stuff. And
Okay.
I need that. Mama needs her Ghibli.
Okay.
I wants it. So don't fuck with that, Ron. I will cut you. I don't mean that in a real literal sense.
Sure.
I mean that in a cutting satire sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to things that fucking nerds don't think about. So Invisible Chicken says, Democrats are the biggest winners. We are the biggest losers because we actually watched this and probably gave it more thought than they did. These are all excellent points.
No notes. No notes there.
Nope.
Yeah, I nailed
Flawless.
it. Mm-hmm.
Nailing it like drywall in, a construction site. Very well done. Ray Wood, can we have debate bingo?
Hey, we got one more debate you're horrifying me with, so I think we can come up with a debate bingo card for next time.
Yeah, honestly, we should work on that for next time. We tried to do a drinking game this time. They didn't scream at each other as much, though. That was the thing. There was not a lot of, cross screaming at each other. They only did that 3 times. The past couple of debates, they did that basically every 4 seconds. There was a screaming match.
All I did all day was watch the last 2 debates to prepare for this over and over again until I realized that was dumb.
Yeah.
And then I got here, and the only thing I had prepared was this big pro wrestling announcer bit for when they're all screaming over each other with Mick Foley references and nothing. They fucked me once again.
Fucking bastards. Well, they never stop fucking me. Also,
Biden would have yelled at each other.
Don't anybody go and watch the past debates. Those are over. Just forget about them. Just please don't watch those. We care about your mental health and we don't want you to do that.
We watched it for you, and I have insurance, so let me shoulder that.
Yes. Ray says they are all the weakest link. Correct. Again, Ray is dropping major truth bombs.
Please vote them all off the island, Ray.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes. Wayne, if I have not said so, hello, I am so happy that you are here.
Party on.
Maybe they were all AI. Honestly, I would find that more comforting than the fact that they're real humans with real
modern AI
opinions.
is still 3 or 4% more racist than what we saw on that screen.
Right.
But give them another season.
Yeah. Ron DeSantis could totally be AI, though.
That's true.
With that.
If that came out, if he was melting in a pit of lava, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Doc says, winner, invisible chicken dinner. Doc, I love you.
Solid.
Invisible Chicken says Disney has extended copyright far beyond being reasonable so they can maintain ownership of the mouse. That is a very good point. The thing about Disney, I have mixed feelings about this because on the one hand, giant mega corporation, and my nightmare as a human is ever going to Disney World. That sounds like hell on earth. Have you ever been to Disney World or Disneyland?
I had to do it as a somewhat disabled person, and I had to ride the little cart, and fuck you and waiting in line. I went to the exits first.
Oh, okay. Well, lesson in there for all of us.
Invisible Chicken.
Sure.
If I may address you directly.
Please.
Take some comfort in the legal works of Klaus Oldenburg, who sued Disney to use a mock mouse-style representation and fucking won. I highly recommend looking it up. You will feel like the world is not such a bad place as it could potentially be.
Could you rain sunshine down on the populace?
I love Klaus Oldenburg.
Paul Franzen said, I've been watching this channel since I was wearing dippers. It's been hard week. Paul, first things first, we are here for you and we love you and we're sorry that you had a hard week and we are giving you internet hugs from afar. Secondly, I don't know what dippers are, so I would like you to explain that in the chat.
I would have appreciated a heads up because that would have made my night a lot easier.
Okay.
And grosser.
Diapers, yes, makes sense. Dippers, I'm feeling like that might be some sort of foreign expression that I'm not familiar with. Paul, I think that I don't know this for sure. I think that you might not be in the US, but I'm not 100% sure, so let me know in the chat.
Also, if you're referring to Dipper from the fantastic animated series that we all loved,
Gravity Falls.
Hells yeah.
That was a really good show.
Fucking awesome.
My kids made me watch that show, and at first I was like, ugh. And I was like,
it just got better.
Damn,
Vote
really
Gravity
good.
Falls 2024.
Amen. Honestly, I would trust them more than I would trust this
Drunk will stand for president.
Yes, God.
More honest than anyone running on the Republican ticket.
I feel like he has a better chance of fixing things, honestly, than whatever this was. Ray says he was not mentally prepared to take this seriously.
Good call.
Fair.
Yep.
Yes.
Here we
Correct.
go. Same.
Doing a good job. There's an AI Trump and Biden debate channel on Twitch. Oh no. That is so fucking weird. Are you serious?
How racist is it?
Okay.
Is it like all racist or is it like mostly racist? Where in that most to entirely does it fall right now?
Pretty bad. Ray, I need you to send me the link to that so that I can watch it because that sounds super weird, super fun and interesting.
In the comments now.
Yeah. Put a link in that to the chat, or you can subscribe to the newsletter and email that to me. Okay, Paul says he was talking about diapers. Okay, Paul, I don't know how old you are, so I don't know how long you've been watching this channel, how long ago you were in diapers, but we love that you're here. We love that you've been here.
Yeah, and anybody you're all talking to around the water cooler tomorrow, just know that this was probably the only debate watching channel that had somebody say diapers this many times. Probably.
Yeah.
6 out of 10.
We're saying it as often as Doug Flurgan says China.
Who the hell was Doug Flurgan?
No one knows.
Okay.
North Dakota something. I don't know. I don't get up there or anything like that. Folks, I think we have had about as much fun as we can possibly have with this debate.
We laughed, we cried, we wished we'd peed.
Yes, Austin desperately needs to pee right now.
So badly. But I'm here for you.
We are here for you, and we love you. We are going to be back with our weekly show on Friday afternoon. We will be back next Tuesday afternoon with another live show. Matt and I will be back with another episode of a very special relationship podcast next Thursday. So we're here for you. We're going to continue to be here for you.
Why are you doing all this? She doesn't sleep.
Really don't.
Her doctors have told her to stop, and she just won't.
I don't like staying busy.
Send donations to our Ko-Fi, to our Patreon.
Yes.
To her directly.
Yes.
Bath salts, meth. She'll take it all.
Yes. Idle Hands Devil Workshop. So
Ooh.
Trying to stay away from
There's
that.
an idea.
But yes, if you have enjoyed tonight and you want to consider donating to us, all of those links are in the description below. Ko-Fi, Patreon, and you can buy some sweet Phoenix merch at our Phoenix News store. Please subscribe to our newsletter. That's a great way to keep in touch with us, and then that means we can reach you more easily and tell you about new stuff that's happening.
The Phoenix apron is bomb AF.
Yes.
Get yourself an apron.
You're going to want the apron. You're definitely going to want the apron. Okay. I want to thank you all so much for being here with us. Truly, you have made our night by spending yours with us. So thank you, and we love you so much. And go bleach your eyeballs after that debate, and we will see you for our new episode on Friday. Bye, guys.
Great to see you. Bye.